Chapter 369. The people of Divine Devil Valley still felt like they were dreaming, but compared to Zhonghai's nightmare, their dream was a beautiful dream. Copy this address views %77%, 77%, 77%, 2E%, 62%, 69%, 71%, 69%, 2E%, 6D%, 65. Actually, when Old Man Devil came back and announced that he had taken in a disciple in the Yilin continent, and this disciple was recognized by the Blood Ring and became their junior Valley Master, everyone in the Divine Devil Valley was shocked, and some even rebelled. From their point of view, the people from the lower realm continent weren't anything special. Such a person wasn't qualified to be a junior Valley Master. Many of them wanted to obtain Old Man Devil's inheritance, but none of them succeeded. In the end, a person from the lower realm obtained the position they dreamed of. But the Divine Devil Valley's rules were like that, they were not allowed to offend their superiors. Therefore, when Yuni saw Sima Yue, she had to bow to her even though she didn't want to. However, they didn't expect that this junior Valley Master, who they had always looked down on, would come down from the sky and save them, pulling them back from the brink of death. Moreover, she was decisive in killing, and her talent was even higher than theirs, causing them to completely submit to her. Junior Valley Master, I didn't expect you to advance from a spiritual emperor to a spiritual venerable in just 9 months. Yuni sighed. I was lucky to get an opportunity, Sima Yue said. Advancing from a spirit emperor to a spirit supremacy in 9 months? Shinrao looked at Sima Yue in shock. Was the junior Valley Master a peak spirit emperor before? No, Sima Yue said. That is. You was a 5th level spirit saint before. In 9 months, oh, you've risen by 4 levels? Fatty Chu said. 4 levels in 9 months? Or is there a huge gap between them? Shinrao cried out, attracting the attention of the others. After knowing that Sima Yue had advanced in rank, the other Divine Devil Valley's disciples were all dumbfounded as they had never seen anyone advance in such a manner. Even if they advanced faster in the upper continents, no one had ever encountered such a situation. Master, there's a situation up ahead. Little Ping interrupted, breaking everyone's shock. What's wrong? Sima Yue asked. There's a fight. Let's go and take a look. Sima Yue said, if they are from those forces, we can clear the area. Yes, Master. Little Rock led them forward at high speed. Not long after, they saw a group of people fighting. On one side there were mostly women and their clothes were similar. They should be from the same sect. He couldn't tell which force the other party was from. They are from the Moonbow clan. Shin Rao immediately recognized the white-robed women. Is he close to us? Sima Yue asked. Not bad. The Second Valley Lord has a good relationship with one of their elders, Granny Feng. Yuni said. That's Zhong Quan. Shin Rao suddenly pointed at one of the men. Seeing the confusion on Sima Yue's face, Yuni explained, Zhong Quan is Zhonghai's brother. They are all from the Cloud Cave. So Zhong Quan is leading a group of people to kill the Moonbow clan people? Sima Yue said. Since that's the case, what are you waiting for? Go and save the damsels in distress. With her command, the Divine Devil Valley's people were filled with fighting spirit. All of them wanted to fly over and join in the battle, to save the damsels in distress. Beauties, I told you not to put up a fight. You should just surrender obediently and let our brothers have some fun. That way you can live a little longer. A wretched man laughed wretchedly. Even if we die, we won't let you have your way. A woman shouted. Zhong Quan, you're leading people to kill the younger generation of the various sections. Aren't you afraid that the Cloud Cave will be hunted down by the various sects? Zhong Quan and Zhonghai looked alike, but he looked more ruthless. Hearing the other party's reprimand, he laughed coldly. Since we've already made such a decision, we're already prepared for such a situation. Of course, we're only doing this because we have the strength. So you do have the strength. Sima Yue's voice rang out, shocking the people who were fighting. Weren't you? Seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people, Zhong Quan's face darkened, saying, Where's my brother? Of course we send him on his way. Sima Yue said, We're sending you to see him now. Yuni. Compared to Zhong Quan and the rest, the Moonbow clan's people were much more excited. What are you waiting for? You were shouting about saving the beauties just now. Why aren't you going now? Sima Yue waved her hand. All right. The Divine Devil Valley's people joined in the battle, attacking Zhong Quan's people. Sima Yue also joined in the battle in order to consolidate her strength. When the Divine Devil Valley's people saw that she could beat a 3rd-level spirit paragon to the point where he couldn't even fight back, they were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped to the ground. What a strong battle power. It's so easy for her to fight someone of a higher level. The Junior Valley Master is mighty. Damn, that move is so cool. The crowd sighed. When Uni saw Sima Yoyue's battle power, she couldn't help but sigh. This guy's strength was definitely unrivaled in the same level. No wonder he was chosen to be the Junior Valley Master. With this kind of strength, even if it was the Divine Devil Valley's people, no one in the younger generation could match up to him. Uni was at the peak of the Spirit Paragon stage, and it wasn't difficult for her to deal with these people. So the battle situation was quickly reversed, and the people who were originally overbearing were all beaten up by the Divine Devil Valley's people until they lost the ability to move. The Moonbow clan's people gradually retreated from the battle after the Divine Devil Valley's people arrived. When the battle was over, a beautiful lady came forward to express her gratitude to Uni. Uni, thank you all. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have survived today. The beautiful lady smiled slightly and Fatty Chu almost drooled. If you want to thank someone, you should thank our Junior Valley Master. Uni said. Junior Valley Master? Isn't Ing Bai Chuan unable to enter this little realm? The beautiful lady frowned slightly. If that was the case, why would he send people to save them? I'm talking about the other Junior Valley Master. Uni pointed at Sima Yue, who was currently commanding the crowd to loot the spoils of war. She's your Junior Valley Master? The beautiful lady's red lips parted slightly in shock, and it was extremely alluring. She had seen her battle just now and she was indeed rather powerful. But when did the Divine Devil Valley have another Junior Valley Master? Especially with this kind of behavior. Hey, you guys hurry up and loot their interspatial rings. These are our spoils of war, we can't just leave them here. This guy has a big background, there are so many treasures here. Fatty, what are you dawdling over there for? Don't let me find out that you're pocketing things. Sigh, I should have been gentler when I hit him just now. Such a good spirit weapon was destroyed by me just like that. This guy is really too weak. All my treasure. The beautiful lady looked at Sima Yoyue's unrestrained roguish aura, and looked at Uni suspiciously. The meaning in her eyes was obvious. Is this really your Junior Valley Master? Chapter 370. Cough, cough. Uni felt a little awkward when he saw Sima Yoyue's expression. He had seen her like this when he saved them previously. However, he still nodded and said, that's right. She is a disciple that the Second Valley Lord recently accepted. She obtained the recognition of the Blood Ring, so even though she hasn't gone to the Primordial Lands yet, she is still our Junior Valley Master. The beauty widened her eyes and said, she's not from the Primordial Lands? No. Uni looked at Sima Yue. Not only was she not from the top, she was from the worst continent. However, it was this kind of person that made him accept her wholeheartedly. He was willing to treat her as the Junior Valley Master. The beautiful woman saw Uni's attitude and knew that Sima Yue was not simple. Everyone in the upper realm knew that although Uni came from the restless continent, he was the direct disciple of an elder and had great talent. He was highly valued by the Two Valley Lord of the Divine Devil Valley. Although he was usually undisciplined, he was actually very arrogant. However, the way he looked at Sima Yue was filled with admiration and respect. If she hadn't been good at observation, she definitely wouldn't have been able to tell. Since that's the case, I'll go and thank her. I hope you can be a guide. The beauty smiled. All right. I like to serve beautiful women. Uni smiled lazily and took her to Sima Yue. Junior Valley Master, this is Xiaoya of the Moonbow sect. She is Granny Win's favorite disciple. Uni said to Sima Yue, then pointed at Sima Yue and said, this is our Junior Valley Master, Sima Yue. Uni, didn't I tell you not to call me Junior Valley Master? Come to think of it, I'm much younger than you. Sima Yue said, why do I feel old when you call me that? Just call me Yue. Hee, this rule can't be abolished. When you go up there, people who are hundreds or thousands of years older than you will call you that. You have to get used to it in advance. Uni said. Although he didn't want to admit it, he liked to see Sima Yue's slightly raised eyebrows. Thank you, young Master Sima, for saving us. Xiaoya cupped her fists towards Sima Yue and thanked him with a smile. Miss Xiaoya, there's no need to be so polite. Didn't you see how happy those guys were when they saved the beauty? They need this kind of opportunity to express themselves. Sima Yue waved her hand. When the people who were collecting the loot heard Sima Yue's words, they couldn't help but twitch their lips and say, Junior Valley Master, we have always been serious. You were the one who said that, okay? What excited, what couldn't wait to be the hero to save the beauty, these were all her words. They were actually very serious from the start to the end. Even when it came to collecting the loot, they were extremely unwilling. Xiaoya covered her mouth and laughed. Their Moonbow clan and Divine Devil Valley had some relations, so the two sects would occasionally interact with each other. It wasn't that she didn't know how the people from Divine Devil Valley were like in the past. Although they seemed a little indecent at times, they weren't as exaggerated as Sima Yue said. No matter what, I still have to thank you. If you didn't rush over, I'm afraid that we would really. Speaking of this, Xiaoya was a little angry. The people from Cloud Cave seem to have put in a lot of effort to get rid of us here. Looking at Zhong Quan just now, it seems like he isn't afraid of us finding out. Looks like they have something to rely on. Right? Didn't Zhong Quan say that Zhong Hai brought people to kill you? How did you? At that time, our situation was similar to yours. In fact, it was even more dangerous than yours. It was the Junior Valley Master who brought his contracted beasts to save us. Yuni said as she looked at Sima Yue gratefully. She alone was able to save all of them? Xiaoya was surprised, but she didn't show it on her face. Is your Moonbow clan also a large power in the upper levels? Sima Yue asked. She wasn't very clear about the distribution of power in the upper levels, so she wasn't clear about the relationships between the powers in the upper levels. In the past, she only knew that the Sage Pavilion seemed to be very powerful. Later on, she found out that the Divine Devil Valley was also very powerful. But it seemed like there were many powerful powers in the upper levels. The Moonbow clan is on the same level as the Divine Devil Valley. Yuni said. Then what about Cloud Cave? Although Cloud Cave is on the same level as us, they are considered to be at the bottom. Usually they don't dare to fight with us. This time I'm afraid that they have something to rely on. Xiaoya said, from what I know, other than us there are others who are being hunted down. Especially since a holy sun from the Sage Pavilion has come down. Right now I'm afraid that we can only avoid them. Hopefully we can wait until the passage opens again. There's no need to avoid them. Yuni said. Yuni, the opponent has a sacred beast. Even if we have more people, we won't be a match for them. Xiaoya said. They have a sacred beast, so do we? Yuni said, when the time comes, it's hard to say who will be stronger. You have a sacred beast too? Really? Xiaoya was a little suspicious. She had never heard that Yuni had a sacred beast. It's the Junior Valley Master's contracted beast. Yuni replied, at that time he brought a sacred beast to save us. Xiaoya was even more surprised. How could someone from the lower realms have a sacred beast as a contracted beast? Could it be that old man devil found it for her? But that couldn't be the case. The people above usually wouldn't give their disciples contracted beasts that were much stronger than them, because it would be easy for the contracted beast to attack them. Their attention was all on this, but Sima Yue's attention was wandering back and forth between the two of them. In the end, the two of them were a little embarrassed and asked, Junior Valley Master, what's the matter? Sima Yue's gaze turned away from Guo Pei Pei, who was a little disappointed, and said, it's nothing. I'm just a little curious. Didn't you say that the people above are very powerful? Why are there so many people below the divine rank? There are quite a few people from your big sects who came down, what about the others? Although our numbers aren't small, we occupy a smaller portion than the others. Xiaoya explained, for example, in a small sect, out of 10 to 20,000 people, there would only be a few hundred people below the divine rank. That's not even a tenth of the total. For bigger sects like ours, they pay more attention to the talents of the future generation and take in more people. That's why there are more people below the divine rank. Moreover, there are many people above, so even if the ratio is smaller, there are still more people below the divine rank. Yuni added. So it's like that. Sima Yue nodded. At the same time, she thought about the population growth in China in her previous life. Although the growth rate was smaller compared to foreigners, there were 1.3 billion people there. So what if the ratio was small, the growth rate was still much higher than other countries? It seemed like this was the same logic. At this moment, Fatty Chu walked over and said, Yue, we're done packing. What are we doing at the back? Chapter 371. Just as Sima Yu was leading her men to fight back, Sima Yulin and the others also ended their seclusion. Sima Yulin was the first to come out of seclusion. In the span of 9 months, he had risen by 3 ranks, becoming a 4th-ranked spirit saint. Sima Yulan had also risen quite a bit, but she was still a distance away from the 4th rank. Sima Yuyang had just become a 3rd-ranked spirit saint. The rest of the Sima family also entered the Spirit Emperor stage one after another. When all the spiritual chi liquid in the cave had been absorbed, they opened their eyes one after another. Who would have thought that all the spiritual liquid here would have been completely absorbed by us? Sima Yuqing sighed. Not bad, everyone's strength has increased quite a bit. Sima Yuyang said with a smile. We've all advanced to the rank of Spirit Saint. Sima Yuming and the others were very happy as well. This was a huge gain for them. After asking the contract beasts, they found out that they had been in seclusion for nearly 10 months. 10 months. Sima Yulin furrowed his eyebrows. I didn't think that we would spend so much time in seclusion. Now that we only have 2 months left, we have to look for Yu and the others. Hey, there's a set of white bones over there. Sima Yuchi cried out. Everyone followed his gaze. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a set of white bones lying in the remaining spiritual energy liquid. Because they had absorbed most of the spiritual energy, this set of white bones was exposed. Is this the person who set up the formation back then? They walked over curiously. This person definitely did not leave before the little realm closed for some reason, and finally died of old age here. Sima Yuqing guessed. I don't think so. Sima Yuran said, if he died of old age, he wouldn't set up such a complicated array nearby. The spiritual energy seems to have all come here. Sima Yuyang said. Everyone sensed their surroundings and found that it was indeed as he said. All the spiritual qi in this place had come here. What is it about this place that attracts all this spiritual qi? Sima Yuqing was extremely curious. It can't be that this skeleton can attract all this spiritual qi, right? Nonsense. How is that possible? Sima Yuyang knocked her on the head. Looks like we found a treasure this time. Sima Yulin said as he walked towards the skeleton. He carefully picked up the tattered clothes, and a pearl the size of a fist appeared in front of everyone. What is this thing? Sima Yuming asked what everyone was thinking. I don't know, but the spiritual qi liquid here should be related to this. Sima Yulin said. Looks like this bead has the ability to attract spiritual qi. If I use this bead to cultivate, I will definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Sima Yuran said. Once we get out, we'll let our clansmen use this to cultivate. Our clansmen will definitely be stronger than the other clansmen. Sima Yuyang said. We'll keep it for now. We'll give it to Patriarch when we get out. Sima Yulin said, we'll go look for Yu and the others now. All right. Yulin, quickly take a look at how far away Yu and the others are from us. Sima Yuqing urged. Sima Yulin took out the jade stone. The 2 blood-red dots were rather small, indicating that the 2 of them were rather far away. Looks like we'll have to fly if we want to find them. Sima Yuyang said. It's a good thing that we have many flying beasts and they're not slow either. If we travel day and night, it shouldn't take too much time. Sima Yuming said. Then let's go look for them now. Wait. Sima Yulin called out to stop them. What's wrong, Yulin? Everyone looked at him and he waved his hands at them. After that, he bowed deeply to the white bone, saying, Many thanks to this senior for giving us this opportunity. We have no way of repaying you, but we will bury you in peace. When he did this, the others followed suit and bowed. Sima Yulin stood up and let everyone out. However, he did not bury the white bone in peace. Yulin? Sima Yuqing looked at Sima Yulin. Sima Yulin did not say anything. Instead, he went outside and began to break the array, collecting all the borrowed spirit stones. Once he had completely broken the array, everyone felt that the faint mist that had enveloped the mountain peak had disappeared. They stood in front of the mountain, and Sima Yulin bowed once again. After that, he condensed his spiritual qi and attacked the mountain peak. After a few continuous attacks, the entire mountain peak collapsed. The mound that rose up was like a huge tomb. Let's go. He called out his flying beast and led the others towards Sima Yuyu's direction. Tens of thousands of miles away, Sima Yuyu was leading the Divine Devil Valley's men to battle with a group of people. Those people were merely the followers of Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion, but their numbers were not small. The result of the battle was not surprising. However, Sima Yuyu and the others found out an even more shocking news from the mouths of the other party. Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave knew that the Divine Devil Valley's men had begun to counterattack. They had roped in a few people and they were not weak. They had gathered at least tens of thousands of people to deal with them. Sima Yuyu pursed her lips when she heard this. She sighed, the ancients were right. This world lacks everything, but it does not lack people. Hearing her sigh, Yun-Yi and the others laughed, saying, this time many people from different continents have come in. Every 100,000 there will be 80,000. They have gathered tens of thousands, so it's not too exaggerated. Then why don't we have so many people? Sima Yuyu looked at their camp. Other than the Yun clan, Gua clan, Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clan, there were only a few people from the Yilin continent left. There are many reasons. Shin Rao said, the Sage Pavilion is different from other powers. They have many pavilions in different continents, and their positions are very high. Those people from different continents usually submit to the Sage Pavilion's power. Now that the Sage Pavilion has gathered their forces, those who understand the Sage Pavilion will naturally follow them. Furthermore, the news of the Sage Pavilion having a sacred beast has already spread throughout the little realm. Everyone knows that having a sacred beast is basically a foregone conclusion. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's gathering of people is just icing on the cake. They just want to show their faces. Yun Feng said. Sai, everyone knows how to develop their forces below. Why do you all only care about your little plot of land above? Sima Yu sighed. This might have something to do with the mental cultivation method that they cultivate in the later stages. Xiao Ye said, I once heard Master say that the Sage Pavilion's mental cultivation method seems to be able to use the power of belief to advance. The more believers they have, the more power they will gain. That's why they need to continuously develop the people below. Since the Sage Pavilion and Divine Devil Valley are not on good terms, then how did senior brother become a holy son? Sima Yu did not understand. Furthermore, it seemed that he was not an ordinary holy son. It seemed that his position in the Sage Pavilion was rather high. Yuni shook her head saying, We're not sure about this either. I heard that the Sage Pavilion's Pavilion Master personally came to the Divine Devil Valley to pick him up. Chapter 372. Sima Yu's heart skipped a beat. It was actually the Sage Pavilion's Pavilion Master who personally went to fetch her? The relationship between the Divine Devil Valley and the Sage Pavilion wasn't that good, so why did the Pavilion Master want to keep Wu Lingyu by his side? He even made him the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, a position that was even higher than the Pavilion Master of a normal pavilion. In particular, he had personally gone to pick up Wu Lingyu, which showed how much he valued him. For some reason she felt that there was something fishy going on. But now that he couldn't think of anything, he simply suppressed this question in his heart. The members of the Moonbow clan have rested enough. Let's continue on our way. Sima Yu said. Should we continue walking in the same direction? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yu took out the jade and looked at it. She realized that the red dot was actually moving. She said, Let's go and pick up Big Brother and the rest first. We'll talk about it after we've picked them up. They've come out? Sima Yu asked. Earlier on, they had taken out jade stones to observe the other party's movements, but Sima Yulin and the others had not moved at all. That was why they guessed that they were in closed-door cultivation. Yes, they are moving. Sima Yue nodded. Let's go and pick them up. The group of them changed their direction slightly and flew towards where Sima Yulin and the others were. On the other side, the few of them traveled day and night. A few days later, when Sima Yulin took out the jade stone, Sima Yu was already not far from them. Yu and the others are rushing towards us. Sima Yang said. Then it won't be long before we meet. Sima Yuqing said, I wonder how many months have passed. Yu and the others have changed. I don't know if they have the same luck as us. Sima Yuming said. My intuition tells me that Yu will continue to leave us a few streets behind. Sima Yang said. You'll know when you see him. Sima Yulin didn't try to guess, but he also felt that Sima Yu must have met with some kind of opportunity. After all, her luck was so good. After a few more days passed, the two parties finally met. When the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan saw Sima Yu and the others, they were curious as to why Sima Yu had traveled so far to receive them. When they were flying here, they didn't know that Sima Yu was going to pick someone up. They thought that they had found people from the Cloud Cave. They only found out about Sima Yu's motive when they contacted each other just now. Fifth brother. Yue. Big brother. When the two groups of people met, both sides had things they wanted to say to each other. And so, Sima Yue threw the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan to one side, and the group of people went to the side to meet up. You've advanced to Spirit Paragon. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu and said with certainty. You've also risen to level 4 Spirit Emperor. Sima Yue said. What, you've actually advanced to Spirit Paragon? Weren't you just a level 5 Spirit Saint? Sima Yu cried out in shock and drew the attention of the people nearby. The people from the Divine Devil Valley already knew about this, but they were still shocked when they heard it again. The people from the Moonbow clan were not calm at all. They asked the people from the Divine Devil Valley whether it was true or not. When they received a positive answer, the beautiful ladies and handsome men were stunned. Their surprise was not limited to this. Their attention involuntarily drifted to the other side. From Sima Yulin and the others' conversation, they found out that the few of them had all grown by 2 to 3 ranks in the past 10 months. This kind of talent was extremely rare in the higher realms, but that group of people were all like this. As expected, Those who are with the Junior Valley Master are not ordinary people. Shin Rao's mouth twitched and he was not calm at all. The others nodded their heads in agreement. Sima Yue did not care about their reactions, and asked Sima Yulin about what happened after they separated. She found out that they had found a place similar to the Snow Wolf clan's place to cultivate, and had been in closed-door cultivation until recently. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief. After that, she told them about what had happened, and even told them about the current situation. It's a good thing you didn't meet those people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to answer to the old fox and the others, she said. Although we didn't meet them directly, we saw two groups of people fighting from afar. I don't know if it's the people you're talking about, Sima Yang said. At that time they had sensed danger in front of them, so they did not go over. Instead they hid at the side and watched. Sima Yue asked about the characteristics of those people, then called Uni and the others over. Once they asked, they found out that they were from the Cloud Cave and another sect above. It was just that they were from a smaller sect. Looks like the Cloud Cave is not just targeting us this time. They are also hunting down people from smaller sections. Xiao Ye's expression was serious. They are so fearless. I think they have something else to rely on other than the Sage Pavilion. Could it be from the top? Shin Rao guessed. It's hard to say. The top usually doesn't interfere with the things below. It's said that there is an agreement. But we don't know what the truth is. Xiao Ye said. Top. There is a continent above the primordial lands? Sima Yue asked. No. Shin Rao said. This is a division of the upper regions. The top is what we call the other regions. Actually, we are all in the same continent. Oh. Sima Yue said. This division is also based on strength, right? Yes, the region we are in is divided into the outer region, central region and inner region. The outer region is where the ordinary forces gather. We are in the central region. The upper region we are talking about is the inner region. Xiaoya explained. Sima Yue caught the point in her words. The region they were in meant that there might be other regions. She really wanted to say, damn it, how big was this world? But she didn't ask this. Otherwise it might hurt everyone's confidence. There are still 2 months before we leave. We have to make good use of these 2 months. We have to make them regret touching our people. Sima Yue said. Then she looked at Shin Rao and the rest and said, I think you have a way to find out where those people are? Don't bother about the gathered forces. We just have to take care of the main people. Okay. Shin Rao nodded. His eyes were filled with excitement. They were finally going to fight back. In the following month, the people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave would receive news from time to time that the people from Divine Devil Valley were exterminated. The people who were brought out by Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were all annihilated. The people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were so angry that they almost vomited blood. On this day in a valley a few people rushed over. Seeing the people guarding outside, they asked anxiously, Is Holy Sun Yi still not out of seclusion? Not yet. The guard said. We have already come 3 times this month. Aren't you tired? When the Holy Sun comes out he will naturally look for you. You should leave now. Chapter 373. Although the other party's rejection was straightforward, the other party had no intention of leaving. May I know how long it will take for the Holy Sun to come out of seclusion? Another person asked anxiously. My family's Holy Sun has obtained a fortuitous encounter this time, and his strength has increased quite a bit. This time he's trying to break through to the 9th level of Spirit Paragon. The guard said, If he succeeds, then my family's Holy Sun won't be far from the divine rank. The Holy Sun is only 80 years old, but he's already about to advance to the 9th level of Spirit Venerable. Then he'll definitely be able to advance to the divine rank before he's 100 years old. The person who came said in surprise. That's why no one can disturb him at such a crucial time. No one knows when he will successfully advance, so I say that you guys shouldn't wait here. The guard said. But, I see that you are the followers of the young cave master of the Cloud Cave? Why aren't you serving your young cave master properly? Why do you come looking for our Holy Sun every now and then? Another guard recognized the person. He had followed the Holy Sun to meet the young cave master before. We were called here by the young cave master. One of them said, We were originally going to exterminate the men from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. However, for some unknown reason we recently received news that Zhong Hai and Zhong Quan were both killed. Furthermore, the men that they had brought with them were all wiped out. Not a single one of them returned. You're saying that not only did the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan not die, they even killed all the people they brought with them? The guard asked. They had been guarding the Holy Sun for more than a month and did not pay much attention to the outside world. They did not know that the situation outside had completely changed. Not only that, many of your Sage Pavilion's people have died as well, but most of them are from the lower realms branches. What? You actually dare to kill a member of my Sage Pavilion? That guard roared and was glared at by another guard. What if the saint was disturbed by such a loud noise? What happened? A voice suddenly cut in. Following that, a handsome man dressed in white walked out from the cave behind them and looked at them. Holy Sun, you've come out? The guard saw Yi Yufan and bowed respectfully. Yes. Yi Yufan nodded and repeated his question. You said that someone killed a disciple of the Sage Pavilion. What happened? Your Highness, it's like this. The two people from the Cloud Cave told him about the recent situation and emphasized on the fact that the disciples of the Sage Pavilion were killed. Finally, they told him the purpose of their trip. Your Highness, our Junior Valley Master said that there are experts like Uni in the Divine Devil Valley. Only you can deal with them now. After Yi Yufan listened to the people of Cloud Cave, he was not flattered by their compliments, but he was still very angry about this matter, because the people of Sage Pavilion were killed. He was now the person with the highest position here, and was also the person with the strongest power. If he didn't care after killing the people of the Sage Pavilion, how could he lead the others? What's more, taking advantage of this opportunity to kill off the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan was an order given to him by his superiors, and he had to complete it. Otherwise, he would not have been given a sacred beast to form a contract with. To put it bluntly, this sacred beast was given to him to deal with the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. Where are they now? He asked in a deep voice. We have already grasped their whereabouts. The people of Cloud Cave said. Where is your young cave master? Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from here. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers was not very far. However, Yi Yufan did not immediately go to find the young cave master, but sent his men back to where the Sage Pavilion's main forces were, which was half a day's distance from here. Holy Sun, you've come out of seclusion. Welcome back, Your Highness. Yufan, congratulations on your successful promotion. A person who was close to Yi Yufan walked over and said with a smile. Luqi, how is the situation in the Sage Pavilion now? Yi Yufan asked. Luqi looked at the thousands of tents on the plains and said, the people from the other continents besides those who died, are all here. They have gathered their strength in other places. Many died? Yi Yufan frowned. A few hundred. Luqi's expression was very bad. Because many people have died recently, I have not allowed them to go out in this period of time. Are there many of them? Yi Yufan asked. No. It's still the same people as before, but the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan are together. There are also people from another lower continent. Luqi replied. Another continent? How many people are there? More than 10. More than 10, what's there to say? But those 10 people are all very strong, even stronger than the people from the upper continents. A few of them can fight above their level. Luqi said, and Yi Yufan saw that Luqi was hesitating, and knew that he was uncertain about what he was going to say. He said, and what? And the news that they sent back said that the people from the Divine Devil Valley called one of them Junior Valley Master. Luqi gathered his courage and said, what? Are you telling the truth? Yi Yufan looked very gentle, and even if he was very surprised, his surprise and shock was very pleasing to the eye. When I heard that, I was very shocked too. After all, the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley had always been Ying Bai Chuan. When did he become someone from this lower continent? After that, I thought that the Divine Devil Valley had 2 Junior Valley Masters. Could this be another Junior Valley Master? Luqi guessed. It's possible. Yi Yufan agreed with this point, but he still had doubts in his heart. But when did the Divine Devil Valley have a second Junior Valley Master? And he came from the lower continents. Only the people from the Divine Devil Valley know about this. Luqi said. Let's not care about those people. There are only 2 months left. We have to kill them all before we go out. If not, it will mess up the pavilion's plans. Yi Yufan said. We already know their whereabouts. Previously, they had Uni who was at the peak of the Spirit Paragon level. We didn't make a move until you came out. Luqi said, now I will go and gather the people from the other powers. Not far from the plains, Sima Yuiwei and Uni stood facing the wind. Buzz 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 dash, a bee flew over from afar and landed on Sima Yui's palm. It buzzed and said something to her. After a while, Sima Yuiwei raised her hand gently and the bee flew away. Yuiwei, what's the news? Wu Pei Pei asked. Sima Yuiwei smiled and said, Yi Yufan has come out of seclusion. The Sage Pavilion is preparing to gather everyone to deal with us. Then let's take advantage of the fact that they haven't gathered everyone and kill them. Fatty Chu said. What's the rush? Sima Yue patted Fatty Chu's shoulder and said, we have to wait. Wait until they gather everyone, then we can kill them all in one go. We don't have to find them one by one. Chapter 374. Since Sima Yue had said so, the others had no objections. They were all interested in Sima Yue's scarlet bees. Junior Valley Master, the last time the second Valley Lord came back, he boasted to the people in the valley that he had obtained many scarlet bees. He even went to other places to show off. These scarlet bees came from you, right? Shin Rao said with a smile. Master even went up to show off? Sima Yue pursed her lips. She did not expect the old man to have such a hobby. Isn't that so? The last time he saw someone else get a scarlet bee from who knows where, he was extremely envious. Now that he has so many, he will definitely show it off to others. Yuni said with a smile. How embarrassing. Sima Yue facepalmed. But other people treat their scarlet bees like treasures. Only you would use them as a tool to eavesdrop, Xiaoye said with a smile. After interacting with Sima Yue for a while, they were already familiar with each other and were no longer as distant as before. Alright, since they are in a hurry, let's go along with their wishes. Let's go back to rest and wait for them to come to us. Sima Yue stretched herself. Apparently, she was not worried about the upcoming battle. Yue, if we wait for them to gather all their people before we attack, they have over 10,000 people. Although everyone's strength is not weak, but we have limited numbers. If Halcyon and Yi Yufan meet, we may not be able to defeat them. After all, the difference in numbers is too great. Don't worry, there will be a lot of us. Sima Yue said confidently and strode towards the resting area. Seeing her like this, everyone couldn't say anything more and could only follow her back. Thus, for the next few days, everyone rested where they were, ate, drank and slept. Being led by Fatty Chu and the others, they did not have the heart to fight. But the people from the Divine Devil Valley didn't stay idle after eating, drinking and sleeping to their fill. Everyone started to refine pills. Pills for healing injuries and recovery of spirit chi were refined one by one. The Moonbow clan, the Yun clan, and the Guo clan all received quite a few pills as well. Of course, they also paid a certain price to show their sincerity. By the time she finished refining the pills, the other party had yet to bring his men to kill them. Sima Yue could not sit still any longer. She brought a group of people and began to search for treasures nearby. All the aged herbs were kept in her interspatial ring. Sima Yulin and the others couldn't bear to look at her when they saw how she wouldn't let a single herb go. If they didn't know that there were so many medicinal herbs in the Spirit Pagoda, they would really be like the people from the Divine Devil Valley, thinking that she was a pauper who lacked medicinal herbs. After sweeping through the surroundings, Sima Yue and the others finally saw the people from the Sage Pavilion. Yi Yufan had brought tens of thousands of people with him. It seemed like he knew that the people from the Divine Devil Valley were here. Sima Yue and the rest had already found out about these people's strength and plans through the Scarlet Bee's communication. The other party knew that they were all here, and in order to be safe, they decided to gang up on them and kill them. The news of the enemy's invasion spread quickly, and everyone was ready to fight. Lu Qi followed beside Yi Yufan and saw a group of people standing on the plains. He frowned and said, Yufan, why do I feel like something is wrong? They look like they're waiting for us. I feel like it's strange that they didn't panic at all when they saw us with so many people. They didn't even think of escaping. The young master of Cloud Cave said. It does look strange. Yi Yufan thought so too. But now they couldn't think too much. Since they had brought people here, they couldn't bring them back. Moreover, in the eyes of most people, the other party only had a few hundred people. Compared to the tens of thousands of people on their side, this number was nothing. What's more, they had a sacred beast on their side. As long as a sacred beast appeared, it didn't matter if the other party had a few hundred or a few thousand people. Senior, the other party has a lot of people. Can we hold on? Don't look at how the people from the Divine Devil Valley were fearlessly waiting for the people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave to come. In fact, they were all very afraid. Although Sima Yue also had a sacred beast, but if they were to fight with the sacred beast, how could they control them? In other words, they had a few hundred people to fight against tens of thousands of people? What's there to be afraid of? If the Junior Valley Master says there's no problem, then there's definitely no problem. Shin Rao trusted Sima Yue very much. After this period of time, he realized that Sima Yue wasn't someone who would joke about her own life and the lives of others. So if she said there would be no problem, then there wouldn't be a problem. Thinking about this, he was stunned. When did he start to trust the Junior Valley Master so much? And that trust came from the bottom of his heart. Ah, it's them. The Zhan family members who were not far from Yi Yu Fan shouted when they saw Sima Yue. You know them? Lichi asked. I've seen them before. The Zhan family member said, the man in the blue robe in the middle also has a sacred beast. And I heard Uni call him the Junior Valley Master. That's him? Yi Yu Fan narrowed his eyes as he looked at Sima Yue. He didn't think that he would meet someone who also had a sacred beast here. No wonder these people dare to be so fearless. Lichi said. No matter what sacred beast it is, we have to kill them today. Yi Yu Fan said, in a while I'll let my contracted beast get rid of the sacred beast. You guys take the opportunity to kill everyone here. Although Yi Yu Fan looked very gentle, but when he said this, the ruthlessness in his eyes was very different from the image that the Sage Pavilion gave people. The two sides met in the air and for a moment no one spoke. After a long time Yi Yu Fan spoke first. I heard that you also have a sacred beast? No wonder you dared to wait for us here. Yi Yu Fan looked at Sima Yue and realized that this guy was younger than he thought. You flatter me. Sima Yue smiled confidently. I heard that you also have a sacred beast. No wonder you dared to come even though you knew that we were waiting for you. Then we'll have to see how much difference there is between them. Yi Yu Fan said, but no matter what, we have the power to kill all of you in this period of time. Today the Holy Sun is here. You should know what's good for you and kill yourselves. Otherwise we'll kill you until you lose an arm or a leg. The Cloud Cave's young master flattered Yi Yu Fan confidently. I'll return the same words to you. If you don't want to be torn to pieces, then kill yourselves obediently. Sima Yue said. Ah, what a joke. You only have a few hundred people and you want to tear us to pieces? The Sage Pavilion's people all roared with laughter. Who said we were going to fight you personally? Sima Yue said faintly. Chapter 375. Her words not only stunned the other party, but also the people on her side. If it wasn't them, could it be that there was someone else? But they didn't see anyone else coming. Ha ha ha. The young master of the Cloud Cave raised his head and laughed, as if he had never seen such a foolish person before. I heard that you are the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. I was wondering if this Junior Valley Master was similar to Ing Bai Chuan, but I didn't expect him to be a fool. If your people don't attack, are you going to conjure people out of thin air to fight us? Ha ha ha. The people behind him laughed as if she was really a fool. You're the idiot. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at them. Don't you see the two beast kings beside me? Humph, so what if you have a beast king? Don't think we don't know that their tribe is very far from here. I'm afraid you can't even summon them over. The Zhan family knew that the Snow Wolf tribe's tribe was very far from here. Don't waste time talking to them. Let's end this quickly, Yi Yu Fan said as he summoned his contracted beast. It was a two-headed python. Although it was a second-rank sacred beast, it had yet to transform into a human form. Chongming, go and play with them. Sima Yue said. Okay. Chongming nodded, then flew into the air and transformed into his body, fighting the two-headed python in the air. Metamorphosis Sacred Beast. The people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were very surprised. Previously, when Chongming was by her side, not a single one of them realized that it was a sacred beast. The other party is stronger than the two-headed python and is also its natural enemy. It seems that we can only delay it for a while. We must kill that man as soon as possible. Come at me together, Yi Yu Fan ordered. Yes, Your Highness, we will definitely get rid of them as soon as possible. Everyone expressed their determination. Although they felt that it was a bit exaggerated to have tens of thousands of people fight against hundreds of people, they still prepared to attack together. Junior Valley Master, what should we do? Seeing that the other party was about to take action, the people from Divine Devil Valley felt a little guilty. What's the hurry? Let's just watch from here. My friends, come out. With a thought from Sima Yue, spirit beasts appeared in front of everyone like magic, forming a semicircle surrounding the people from the Sage Pavilion. So many spirit beasts. Damn, there are at least tens of thousands of them, right? Heavens, why are there suddenly so many spirit beasts? And they are all divine beasts. There are also many level 5 divine beasts and above. Sima Yue ignored the shock on both sides and said, this is the first thing I want you to do. Didn't you say that you haven't fought for a long time? Go, it's best if none of those people are left. A woo, roar. Rong He Gongyen let out a long roar and led his people to attack the enemy. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave, as well as the people who had gathered, were already stunned when they saw so many divine beasts. Before they could react, the two beast kings had already brought people to attack. Many people were directly torn into two halves and fell to the ground. Some people reacted, but the spirit beasts had already flown in front of them. Their physical bodies could not compare to the claws of the spirit beasts, and many people fell to the ground with injuries. The Snow Wolf clan was not as good at flying as the saber-toothed tigers, so many of the Snow Wolf clan landed on the ground and chased after the injured people. The people from Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clans stared with wide eyes at the scene in front of them. They had thought that there would be a huge battle, but they had only stood there and watched from the beginning. No wonder she was so confident. So this was her trump card. At the same time, everyone looked at Sima Yue with resentment. The Junior Valley Master was really too much. He obviously had such a huge trump card, but he didn't tell them in advance, causing them to be so worried. In less than half an hour, the tens of thousands of people were all killed. Even the Holy Sun and the young Cave Master did not last long. This was a massacre without any suspense. Yue, we've killed them all. Gong Yin and Rong Yu reported. Sima Yue pursed her lips. These guys had not only been killed, they had been torn to shreds. These tens of thousands of people had all died without a complete corpse. They had either been torn into two halves, missing an arm or a leg, or even decapitated. Over 10,000 corpses like this, it was really disgusting. With a wave of her hand, she kept all the spirit beasts into her spirit pagoda. This time she even kept the two beast kings. Boom! Before they could say anything, a thunderous boom rang out in the sky, and an incomparably terrifying aura pressed down on them. What's going on? Everyone raised their heads to look. A vortex had appeared in the sky, and that vortex was quickly converging, slowly forming a passageway. Could it be that the battle just now caused the passageway to open earlier? Yuni said in shock. Why are there two passageways? Isn't the passageway outside where we came from? Guofu cried out. The other place is also the primordial lance. Shinrao said. Looks like this is our passageway back. Qiaoye said. Why isn't there a passageway to the Yilin continent? Someone cried out. It was only then that everyone realized that there was no passageway to the Yilin continent. They looked at Sima Yue and the others strangely. We didn't come in through the normal passageway in the first place. Sima Yue said as she took out the compass and inserted her spirit energy. That compass flew into the sky, and just as it formed a passageway, it fell down. This caused her expression to change. What's wrong? Seeing that her expression was not right, everyone was in a hurry to leave. It could be that the battle between Chongming and the sacred beast just now affected the space here. This compass can't be used. Sima Yue said, the passageway to the Yilin continent can't be opened. Then what do we do? Sima Yuqing said worriedly. Sima Yue looked at the passageway above her head and said, the only way is to try these two passageways. I don't know if we'll be able to pass. We can only try. Since this is the case, Junior Valley Master, you should follow us back to the valley, Shinrao said. Although Sima Yue did not think of going there so early, she had no choice now. But when they flew towards the exit, the Divine Devil Valley and the others easily entered. However, Sima Yue and the others were blocked outside. Looks like we won't be able to go to the primordial lands, Sima Yue said. Then let's try going to our side, Guo Pei Pei said. I'll try first, Sima Yulin said as he flew up. He entered without meeting any obstacles. Looks like it'll work. I'll chase after him, Yun Feng said as he entered. Shinrao, you should go back. When you go back, get someone to go to the Yilin continent and tell my grandfather and the others that we're safe. We'll think of a way to go back, Sima Yue said. Junior Valley Master, don't worry. We'll definitely do it, Shinrao promised. Everyone, let's go. The passageway is about to close. Everyone raised their heads and saw that the passageway was indeed fading. A group of people quickly flew in. Sima Yue led everyone and followed the Guo clan into the passageway to the Restless Continent. The Yun clan followed behind them. The passageway closed after everyone entered. Chapter 376. Sima Yue felt as though her entire body was being torn apart. She was sure that the others were not feeling too well either. It seemed that the passageway wasn't that stable. Bang, 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 the sound of water splashing could be heard as the group was thrown into a lake. Cough, cough, Sima Yue came out of the water and wiped the water off her body. She could not help but curse. He was thrown into the water when he went in, and he was thrown into the water when he came out. Is everyone all right? Guo Pei Pei popped out and asked the people around her. I'm fine. Let's go to the shore. Sima Yue said. Fortunately, they were not far from the shore and soon swam to the shore. Why are there fewer people? Wei Ziqi saw that there were not enough people, especially those from the Yun family. There were only 2 or 3 people with them. This passageway is moving. If the time difference is too long, it will appear in different places. Guo Peipei's impressive figure became even more prominent because of her wet clothes. She quickly used her spiritual energy to evaporate the water on her body and return to her normal appearance. Yulin and Yunfeng aren't here either. Fatty Chu said. Don't worry, Yunfeng knew that Yulin would be teleported somewhere else, that's why he chased after him. They haven't been separated for long, so they should have been sent to the same place. Guo Peipei said. Is this the restless continent? As expected, the spiritual qi here is much denser than where we are. Sima Yuqing sensed it and her eyes were filled with envy. That's right, it's no wonder the people here are generally stronger than us. Sima Yuyang said. Yu, we're going home now. Why don't you come with us? Guo Peipei said. You saved us. We'll repay you. Do you know how to get to the Yilin continent? Sima Yue asked. We don't know, but I think the old ancestor and the others might know. Guo Peipei said. We're not familiar with this place, so we can only trouble you guys. Sima Yue said. What about you, Yulin? Sima Yulan asked. The Yun family and our Guo family are not far from each other. I think that if Yunfeng did not bring him back to the Yun family, he would have sent him to our family. Guo Peipei said. Moreover, I think that he would have guessed that you were at our place and would come looking for you. If he doesn't come after a long time, we'll go look for him. Sima Yu took out the jade stone and looked at it. Sima Yulin was really far away from her. We can find our way back before he returns. Then let's go. We're still quite far from the city. Guo Peipei said. Everyone sat on the flying beasts and flew for 2 days before they saw a city, which showed how big the restless continent was. They went to the Spirit Master Guild and used the teleportation array to go to another medium-sized city. Then they went to the city where the Guo family was located. Sima Yue started vomiting as soon as she stepped out of the teleportation portal, which shocked the Guo family. Guo Fu laughed and teased her. Not at all. You're so strong and you're also an array master, but you fainted in this teleportation array. Sima Yu waved her hand, looking like she was suffering unspeakably. The teleportation array here was much better than the one in the Yilin continent, but because it was so far away she still felt terrible. Sima Yuqing patted her on the back, saying, The first time I saw her, we used the teleportation array as well. At that time I was so happy to see her faint. Looks like we can only stay in the city today. Guo Peipei saw Sima Yue in this state and brought them to the inn that the Guo family opened in the city. The innkeeper saw that Guo Peipei and the others had returned and immediately came out from behind the counter. He bowed and said, Young miss, didn't you go to the little realm? Why are you back before it's time? Something happened, so the portal opened early. Guo Peipei said, Go and prepare some rooms. We'll be resting here today. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper quickly prepared the rooms. He gave the key to the best room to Guo Peipei, but Guo Peipei turned around and handed it to Sima Yuran and the others who were supporting Sima Yue. You can take her to rest first. Guo Peipei said. Okay. Sima Yuran took the key and brought Sima Yue to rest according to the room number on the key. The others followed the waiter to the backyard, leaving Guo Peipei and the innkeeper behind to give some instructions. Young miss, who is that? The innkeeper asked curiously. That was the sky room. Normally it was not open to the public. Only the young master and young mistress of the Guo family could stay there. However, Guo Peipei had given it to that sickly person. This made him very curious about that person. He is the benefactor of our Guo family. If not for him, our Guo family would not have been able to make it out alive. Guo Peipei said, furthermore, his status is extremely high. Get people to take care of him carefully. Do you understand? Guo Peipei instructed. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper replied. Guo Peipei called Guo Fu over, saying, Hurry back to the clan first. Tell my father about what happened in the little realm. Tell him to be wary of the Zhan family. I'll wait for you to get better before bringing them back. Yes, big sister. Guo Fu did not delay at all. She brought Guo Liang and the others and left. Although the Guo family was said to be the biggest family here, their main house was not in the city. Instead, it was in the outskirts of the city. After leaving the city, it was half a day's journey by flying beast. Just as Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the restless continent, the people from the primordial lands were also returning. Unlike other continents, the primordial lands' passageways were fixed. Although the locations of the little realms were different, there was only one exit. Some of the sect's people were already waiting outside. They were prepared to bring their own people back. After all, they were people below the divine rank. If they met with any trouble on the way back, they would just play around. It's open, someone said. Everyone saw a spatial passageway slowly opening on the mountain peak. Disciples came out one after another. When they saw their own sects, they hurried over to avoid being killed by accident. They also told their sects about their encounters inside. The people from the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley were not far from each other. The people from the Cloud Cave glanced over and said faintly, "Many people die every time they enter this little realm. Tsing Cheng, do you think all the people from the Divine Devil Valley died in there?" Tsing Cheng was the leader of the Divine Devil Valley. Hearing the provocation from the Cloud Cave, he raised his eyebrows and said, "You're right. Maybe all the people from the Cloud Cave died. When that time comes, we will definitely feel sorry for you. Who knows who will die in there?" The person from the Cloud Cave did not say anything else. If he said too much, he might give himself away. Time passed slowly. A few thousand people came out. However, there were no people from the Divine Devil Valley or the Moonbow clan. When the people from the two sects saw the smiles on the faces of the Cloud Cave, they seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 377. Was it really like what the people of the Cloud Cave said, that all of their people had died inside? Judging from the Cloud Cave people's expressions, they seemed to be very sure that their people had come out. "Tsing Cheng, do you think they did something?" "As far as I know, quite a few of them have entered." The leader of the Moonbow clan said to Tsing Cheng. Tsing Cheng looked at those people unhappily and said, "If they really dare to do anything, the Divine Devil Valley will not let them off. The tunnel is about to close." The members of the Moonbow clan said worriedly as they watched the tunnel fade. "Those who wanted to come out should have already come out. Other than us, the people from Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion have not come out," Tsing Cheng said. Could it be that something happened this time? The members of the Moonbow clan were all very worried. I hope not. Not only were the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan worried, even the members of the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were worried, because none of their members had come out. Could it be that something really happened? But that wasn't right. The two sects combined had far more people than the demonic god sect in the Moonbow clan. Yu Fan also had a sacred beast. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any accidents. However, there were always so many accidents, and this accident caused them to suffer heavy losses. The tunnel is about to disappear. Someone is coming out. Someone shouted, and everyone turned to look at the entrance of the passage. This was especially true for the Divine Devil Valley, Moonbow clan, Cloud Cave, and Sage Pavilion, who had yet to receive anyone. They stared at the exit so hard that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Uni led the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan out of the tunnel just as it was about to close. The people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were extremely happy, while the people from the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were extremely shocked and furious. They said that they were going to deal with the Divine Devil Valley's people. Now that they had come out and their own people hadn't come out, this meant that their own people had been killed by them. Aya, what you said just now was right. There really are people inside who can't come out. Fortunately, it's not our people. Tsing Cheng said with a big laugh. Greetings to the 10th Elder of the Outer Valley. Uni brought everyone to the Divine Devil Valley's position and greeted Tsing Cheng. You guys came out so late, you really worried us to death. Tsing Cheng said as he patted their shoulders. Granny Cloud. Xiaoya led her people in greeting towards the Moonbow clan members. Are you guys okay? Why did you come out so late? Granny Yun looked at Xiaoya and the others lovingly. Yes, I was delayed by something, Xiaoya said. Is it because you didn't know that the passage would open in advance, so you didn't have time to come out? Granny Yun asked. No, it's something else, said Xiaoya. How could that be? Why didn't any of our men come out? Cloud Cave's people said in disbelief. Seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people reporting their safety, they said angrily, Did you kill all of our people? It must be you. Uni glanced at him indifferently and said, The little world is so big and there are so many people inside. You're sure that we killed your people, but do you know that your people will definitely find us? I heard that the number of people from your Cloud Cave is 3 times more than ours. What, are they looking for trouble inside? Seng Tai stared at the people of Cloud Cave and said, Whether there is or not, I think the people of Cloud Cave should know. Uni said. Yumph. Let's go back. Cloud Cave's people shouted at the people behind them and leaped away. Although the people from the Sage Pavilion didn't say anything, they saw that the people from the Divine Devil Valley were not looking good, and left after looking at them. The people from the other powers left after receiving their own people. Now that the passage was completely closed, even if there were people inside they couldn't come out, and so they all left. When only the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were left, Sung Ching stopped smiling and asked, "What happened?" "We were attacked by the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion together, and we lost a portion of our people," Yuni said. "And the Sage Pavilion gave Yu Fan a sacred beast, and we were almost completely wiped out," Xiaoya added. "Sacred beast?" Everyone was shocked. Only people below the divine rank were allowed to enter. If there really was a sacred beast, how did they survive? "I didn't think that the Sage Pavilion would dare to do such a thing," Granny Yun said hatefully. "Do they really think that they are strong just because they have more people? Cloud Cave as well. If they really want to fight, my Moonbow clan will not be bullied." Compared to Granny Yun's anger, Sung Ching was more rational. He said, "Since they have more people than you and they have a sacred beast, how did you all escape? Why didn't any of them come out?" "It's all thanks to the Junior Valley Master. If not for him, the ones who came out now would be the people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave," Yuni said. "Junior Valley Master? Ing Bai Chuan? Wasn't he not allowed to enter?" "Granny Yun, it wasn't Ing Bai Chuan, it was another Junior Valley Master," Xiaoya said. "Could it be the second Valley Lord's disciple?" Sing Ching said. "That's right. She was the one who saved us first, and then killed the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's other forces that they had gathered." "How did you meet him? Hurry up and tell us everything that happened." Sung Ching was a little confused as he said. Thus, they recounted how they had been chased down and how Sima Yue had gracefully appeared out of nowhere and saved them all. Then, how she had saved the people from the Moonbow clan, and how she had killed the 10,000 people. "Haha, this Junior Valley Master is so domineering." Sung Tai laughed loudly after hearing everything. The other party had wanted to use this opportunity to kill their younger generation, but they had not expected that all of their own people would be killed. At the same time, his eyes were filled with anger. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave really wanted to start a fight. The battle between the two sacred beasts affected the space inside. It's no wonder that the passage opened earlier. Granny Yun said, "This time we really have to thank you all. If you were your Junior Valley Master, our people would be in danger." "Ah, well said." Sung Ching said, "Granny Yun, this time, our Divine Devil Valley will not let this matter rest. What does your Moonbow clan say?" Do you think they can kill our people just because they want to?" Granny Yun snorted coldly. "Wait for us to go back and report to the sect master. If there is a decision, we will let you know." "All right, I will also go back and report to the Valley Lord and the others," Sing Ching said. "Goodbye." Granny Yun brought Xiaoya and the others and left. Sung Ching also brought Yuni and the others back to the Divine Devil Valley to report to the Valley Lord. The other disciples of the Divine Devil Valley quickly found out about what had happened in the Little Realm. While they were furious, they were also curious about Sima Yue. They all hoped that they could meet their domineering Junior Valley Master soon. Chapter 378. Achoo. 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 Sima Yue, who everyone was thinking about, sneezed a few times on the bed. Thinking, scolding and nagging. "Is someone nagging me?" She rubbed her nose and said. Creak. The door opened and Bei Gong Tang walked in. Seeing a certain someone awake, she said, "You've already slept for 2 days. Haven't you slept enough?" "Ah, sleeping is such a pleasant thing." Sima Yue stretched herself on the bed and placed her hands behind her head. She bent one leg and crossed the other. This time she slept for 2 days straight. Actually, it was not because she was dizzy from the teleportation array, but because she had never been so relaxed when she was in the Little Realm. When he was cultivating in the saber-toothed tiger tribe, he didn't rest for a moment for several months. He was constantly cultivating, and cultivating. If she stopped, she would feel the danger of her body being burned. Later on, after leaving the saber-toothed tiger's territory and leaving the Little Realm, although she didn't cultivate all the time, she didn't relax and rest either. It wasn't until they arrived here that she took the opportunity to rest. Ever since Bei Gong Tang met Sima Yue, she had never seen her sleep on the bed for such a long time. When she thought about how hard Yue had worked, she admitted that she couldn't compare to her. Bei Gong Tang sat at the bedside and looked at Sima Yue, who was dressed as a man. She sighed in her heart. "When will you be able to change back to wearing female clothes like us? I think a lot of people will be charmed to death. When are you going to change back to women's clothes?" Sima Yue was stunned. She had been asked this question before, but she had never thought about it seriously. She had always felt that since her father had specially instructed her to do this, it must be very important. However, she had never seriously thought about why her father would do this. She only felt that everything would be clear once she met her father. However, why did her father dress up as a man? And he even said that it would endanger his life? And where exactly was his father at this moment? Yue, what are you thinking about? Bei Gongtang's voice pulled her back from her thoughts. Nothing. Sima Yue smiled and said, You didn't come here to ask me this, right? No. Bei Gongtang said. I came to tell you that Guo Pei Pei said that her father personally came to bring you to the Guo clan as a guest. He's the head of the family, but when he found out that you were sleeping, he was eagerly waiting in the hall. The Guo family head came? Why didn't you call me? Sima Yue said. Didn't I come over as soon as I got the news? Bei Gongtang shrugged. She had been in the house the entire time, so she didn't know. Sima Yue got up from the bed and entered the spirit pagoda to wash up before leaving with Bei Gongtang. They went to the lobby of the inn and saw a middle-aged man sitting in the middle. Guo Pei Pei was sitting beside him, talking about something. Guo Pei Pei and her father Guo Si Ming stood up when they saw them. Yue, this is my father. Guo Pei Pei smiled and said. Father, she is Yue, the junior valley master of the Divine Devil Valley. I'm really sorry. I slept too much these 2 days. They didn't even inform me that Uncle Guo was coming. Sima Yue apologized to the two of them. I was the one who told them not to disturb you. Guo Si Ming said, I heard that you weren't feeling well. It wouldn't be good to disturb your rest. Uncle Guo, you don't have to call me little friend. Just call me by my name. Sima Yue said, Pei Pei and I are friends. You are naturally my elder. Since that's the case, I'll be thick-skinned and act as your elder. Guo Si Ming said. Yue, I told my father about what happened in the Little Realm. He asked you to stay there for a while and wait for Yulin to come back. Guo Pei Pei said. Does Uncle Guo know of any way for us to return to the Yilin continent? Sima Yue asked. I don't have a way either. But I think the older generation in the family might know. After all, we have to travel through space. I don't have the power to do that. Guo Si Ming said, You can stay in our residence and wait for your other companion. Then I'll have to trouble you. After a while, the Sima family came down and followed Guo Si Ming to the Guo residence in the suburbs. The Guo family knew about what happened in the Little Realm. Although they didn't know Sima Yue's identity, the Guo family was very grateful and courteous to them. Guo Si Ming specially prepared a large courtyard for them. After the 10 of them moved in, it was very spacious. At first, the Guo family would come to see them with the flag of gratitude. 2 days later, Sima Yue and the others expressed that they liked peace and quiet. Hence, Guo Si Ming ordered that the Guo family was not to disturb Sima Yue and the others. Since then, the courtyard had quieted down. After a few days, the Yun family head came to visit and requested to see Sima Yue. When Sima Yue heard the word request to see, she couldn't help but pursed her lips. She was really not used to this identity. Even the head of the family had to use this word to see her. Actually, she didn't know that to the people of the lower continents, even a random disciple would be treated with respect, let alone someone of her status. What's more, she was the future successor of a power. The Yun family head and the Yun family head were very similar in both appearance and temperament. However, in his eyes, there were more traces of age. Greetings to the Junior Valley Master. Yun Jinwei bowed to Sima Yue. Sima Yue was too lazy to be courteous now. She raised her hand and said, Yun family head is too courteous. May I know why you've come to find me today? She saw that the Yun family head had a worried look on his face, as if he was worried about something. Yun Jinwei looked at Sima Yue and said, I won't hide it from the Junior Valley Master. I've come this time to ask for a favor. At the same time, it concerns your companions. Is it because of Yulin and Yunfeng? Sima Yue asked. Yun Jinwei nodded and said, Yes. I heard that the Junior Valley Master and your companions can determine each other's location. I want to ask, is it still possible now? Sima Yue took out the jade and looked at it. She nodded and said, It's still possible. Did something happen to Yulin and the others? It's like this. A few years ago, made a soul lamp for Feng. He can use it to determine whether Feng is safe or not. However, recently we discovered that the soul lamp is flickering. Furthermore, they haven't returned since they left the Little Realm. That's why I'm worried that something has happened to them outside. I heard that you can determine their location, so I've specially come to ask the Junior Valley Master to help us find them. Soul lamp was a lamp made from a person's spiritual energy. If the soul lamp flickered, it meant that the owner was in danger and his life was at stake. Chapter 379. Knowing that Sima Yulin might be in danger, Sima Yu could no longer sit still. She did not need Yun Jinwei to say anything as she stood up and said, "Let's go. Let me talk to Peppa and the others." Half an hour later, all the members of the Sima family left Gua Mansion together. Before leaving, Gua Siming said that he would try his best to find a way for them to go back. The Yun clansmen were already waiting in the city. Under Sima Yu's guidance, they rushed towards the south. After passing through a few teleportation arrays, they were not too far away from Sima Yulin and the others. However, Yun Jinwei had said that they were currently in a no-man's land, so they could only take flying beasts. "Yu, will Yulin be alright?" Sima Yuqing said worriedly. They had a good relationship with Yulin since they were young. If something happened to him, everyone would be very sad. Sima Yue looked at the jade stone in her hand. The dot on it was still moving, saying, "It's all right. It's not like we don't know Yulin's abilities. No matter how big the danger, he will definitely be able to overcome it." Sima Yuqing nodded, hoping that what Sima Yu said was true. "Junior Valley Master, how far are we from them?" Yun Jinwei asked. "According to the current speed, it will take at least 2 more days." Sima Yue asked, "Patriarch Yun, what exactly is that place? Why isn't there a teleportation array for such a long distance?" "That place is a dangerous place. Because the environment is too harsh, even those with god-level strength can't last more than a month inside. That's why it hasn't become a city yet," Yun Jinwei said. "What's inside?" Sima Yuyang asked. "Most of them are swamps or mountain ranges. There is a poisonous miasma that has not dissipated for 10,000 years. There are also many poisonous spirit beasts." Yun Jinwei said, "There are many divine beasts and even many sacred beasts." Sima Yue looked at the people she brought with her. There were quite a number of god-ranked and above people, but she wasn't sure if it would be enough. "How did Yulin and the others get sent here?" Sima Yuran asked. "You just left a little earlier than us. You're so far behind, and you're so unlucky to have entered this place," Fatty Chu said. They rushed day and night, and after 2 days they were finally not far from Sima Yulin and the others. But they couldn't fly anymore because in front of them was a thick poison barrier that couldn't be dissolved. "Yulin? Are you alright?" Sima Yu took out the Mother-Sun Stone and tried to contact Sima Yulin. "You?" Sima Yulin's weak voice sounded. Although he was not in good condition, at least he was still alive. All the members of the Sima family smiled. "Yulin, how are you now? Is Yun Feng with you?" Sima Yue asked. "Yun Feng is with me, but his current situation is worse than mine." Sima Yulin couldn't be bothered to ask why Sima Yu and the others were here, and told them about Yun Feng's situation. "You guys wait inside, we'll come and save you immediately," Sima Yu said. "You have to be careful, the poison here is too thick. You can't see anything after entering, and there are also strange poison beasts," Sima Yulin said. "Okay, we got it. Hang in there." Sima Yu gave the Mother-Sun Stone to Sima Yuyang after she finished speaking, and got him to keep in contact with Sima Yulin outside, so that he could keep an eye on their situation. She took out an antidote pill and ate it, then tried to walk in to feel the poison. But before she could take 2 steps, she felt uncomfortable and had no choice but to retreat. "What a strong poison. Yun clan leader, you guys try. Divine rank might be able to hold on a little longer." But Yun Jinwei didn't go far before he came back. "Looks like ordinary people can't go in," Sima Yu said. "Then what do we do? With such a strong poison, won't Yulin and the others die in there?" Sima Yuqing said anxiously. Sima Yu thought about it and said, "I have an idea. You guys wait for me here." As she spoke, she walked into the poison. The moment she entered, crimson flames surrounded her, burning away all the poison around her, forming a vacuum. What a high temperature. Yun Jinwei sighed when he felt the terrifying temperature. Perhaps only a flame like this could burn a path through such a dense poisonous miasma. Sima Yu went in 3 to 4 meters before she could no longer see her silhouette. Could be seen how thick the poison was. The jade stone was too close, so it was useless. But the visibility here was too low, and she didn't know where Sima Yulin was. "Emo Sha, can you tell the direction here?" She called Emo Sha out to ask. Emo Sha glanced at her and said, "Follow me." Emo Sha led her in a direction and told her where there was a little swamp. After walking for a few tens of meters, he said, "We're here." Sima Yu saw Sima Yulin and the others, one sitting and one lying down. There was a white circle around them that blocked the poison outside. Although Sima Yulin was weak and had many injuries on his body, he still had the strength to sit up. This meant that he was conscious. As for Yun Feng, he had already fainted. "Yulin." She walked over and called out to Sima Yulin. Sima Yulin opened his eyes and saw Sima Yu surrounded by a ball of flame. His eyes shone with hope. Because Mo Sha was hidden in the poison, he wasn't seen. Yu quickly save Yun Feng. Sima Yulin said. I'll take you guys out first. Sima Yu said, remove the array, and I'll take you guys into the spirit pagoda. Yun Feng was already unconscious. Even if they went in, they wouldn't find anything. Okay. Sima Yulin didn't hesitate and immediately removed the array protecting them. Sima Yu brought them into the spirit pagoda at the same time. There are still people from the Yun clan waiting outside. I can't cure you now. You guys hold on for a while. Sima Yu said as she went out and got Mo Sha to take her out. When they were about to reach the edge of the poison, Mo Sha took back the devil snare bracelet. She called Sima Yulin and Yun Feng out and dragged them out. We're out. Are you guys okay? Feng? The people outside were extremely happy when they saw them come out. Sima Yu released Sima Yulin and Sima Yu and gave him a pill. After that, she placed Yun Feng on the ground and fed him a pill. She untied his clothes and took out a silver needle to perform acupuncture on him, expelling all the poison from his body. Once the poison was expelled, the pill in his body took effect and Yun Feng woke up. Sima Yu quickly removed the silver needles from his body. Then she took out another set and went to the side to treat Sima Yulin's poison. Feng, how did you get sent to a place like this? Yun Jinwei saw that Yun Feng had woken up and his heart finally calmed down. Yun Feng saw the situation clearly and knew that he was safe. He said solemnly, Father, we weren't sent here. We were forced in. Chapter 380. What? Everyone was shocked. Who forced you inside? Yun Jinwei asked with a dark face. Yun Yi and Yun Feng were the two sons that he loved very much. Now, someone actually dared to do such a thing to them. If it weren't for Sima Yu bringing them along and bringing them out with that kind of flame, he would never have been able to see his youngest son again. It's the Zhan family. Yun Feng covered the wound on his arm and said, after we came out, we were still some distance away from here. When we were preparing to find a teleportation array to return, we met the Zhan family before we entered the city. The other party was a divine-level expert, so we could only run. It was a good thing that Yulin had many teleportation arrays, allowing us to escape from his hands a few times. But in the end we were still forced into this place. Yun Feng made it sound simple, but everyone could imagine the soul-stirring battle and the despair of being at the end of the road. The needle in Sima Yu's hand paused. The Zhan family? Good, very good. She said coldly as she continued to give Sima Yulin acupuncture. After we entered the poisonous miasma, we chased them for a few steps and escaped. Then they waited outside for 2 days and left when they thought we were dead. Yun Feng continued, it's a good thing that Yulin brought along quite a few antidote pills with him, as well as the protection of the array formation. It was able to fend off a certain degree of the poisonous gas. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to last until now. The Zhan family is really bold. Yun Jinwei gritted his teeth and said, recently my Yun family has been keeping a low profile. Does the Zhan family really think that my Yun family is afraid of them? When we get back we'll start the plan. I want the Zhan family to cease to exist on this continent. Originally, when the disciples of the Yun family returned and told them about what happened in the Little Realm, the Yun family was already extremely angry. However, before they could make a decision to suppress the Zhan family, they learned that something had happened to Yun Feng. A group of people rushed over in a hurry. Now that he knew that his son was forced into the poisonous miasma by the Zhan family, he was furious and decided to destroy the Zhan family. Count us in. Sima Yu's voice sounded. She had already finished her acupuncture. Although Sima Yulin still looked very weak, his life was no longer in danger. Yun Jinwei originally wanted to say that there was no need, but then he remembered that she had over 10,000 spirit beasts. Seeing their own people being bullied to the point of almost losing their lives, they would definitely be angry. He nodded and said, all right, no problem. Although the poison in their bodies has been forced out, the condition of the two of them is not very good. Let's find a place to let them rest for 2 days. Sima Yu said, at the same time, we can also understand the situation of the Zhan clan. All right. Yun Jinwei was now extremely grateful to Sima Yu. Luckily she knew medicine. Otherwise, even if she saved them from the poison, she would not have been able to expel the poison and save them. Sima Yu called Little Rock out and got Sima Yang to help Sima Yulin up. Yun Jinwei helped Yun Feng onto his own flying beast. After the Yun family members had all boarded, the two flying beasts flew back in the direction they came from. After leaving the danger zone, they landed on a mountain and set up a tent for the two injured people to rest. After settling down, Sima Yue went to look for Yun Jinwei. Patriarch Yun, please tell us about the Zhan family's situation. Okay. It turned out that the Restless Continent and the Yilin Continent had different levels of power. The Zhan family, the Guo family and the Yun family used to be the three largest families. Among them, the Guo family and the Yun family were on good terms. Ever since the Zhan family's patriarch came to power, their relationship with the two families slowly deteriorated. Now, they even wanted to swallow the two families and become the most powerful family. The Zhan family was originally stronger than the Guo and Yun family. Later on, one of their elders became the deputy pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion. Many people joined the Sage Pavilion, so they became even more arrogant. Now that they had colluded with the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, they began to act against the Guo and Yun family. So you're saying that if we want to act, we will not only have to deal with the Zhan family but also the Sage Pavilion? Sima Yue asked. If the Sage Pavilion must protect the Zhan family. Yun Jinwei said. Regardless of the Sage Pavilion, the Zhan family dared to kill Yulin, so they must bear the consequences. If the Sage Pavilion insists on interfering, then we don't mind taking care of another group of people. Anyway, the Sage Pavilion wanted to kill my Divine Devil Valley's people in the Little Realm. This grudge has already been formed. Sima Yue snorted. How strong are the Zhan family and the Sage Pavilion? The Zhan family has more divine-ranked people than our two families. If we include the Sage Pavilion, they have at least 40 people. Yun Jinwei said. How many divine-ranked people do your two families have? Adding them together, we have 30 people. It shouldn't be more than 5. Yun Jinwei said, not only that, they have more spirit paragons than us. Looks like there's a huge disparity in power. Sima Yue said. If the Sage Pavilion doesn't interfere, we will definitely win. If they interfere, even if we have to destroy ourselves, we will drag them down with us. Yun Jinwei said hatefully. These few years, the Zhan family had become more and more arrogant. The Yun family had long wanted to retaliate. If it's possible, I hope that you don't get involved. Otherwise you'll be implicated. Yun Jinwei said. The Zhan family has already touched my bottom line. How can we retreat? Sima Yue said, I'll think of a way to deal with the remaining 10 over divine-ranked people. Yun family head, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll be heading out first. After leaving Yun Jinwei's tent, she found a quiet valley and called out Rong, Gong Yen and the elders. This is the outside world? The elders looked around. The scenery was not much different from the inside. I can't feel that layer of suppression. One of the elders said excitedly. Really? That means we can advance in rank. Haha, I can already feel the spirit chi in my body moving. Me too. I feel like I'm about to advance in rank. Sima Yue called out Chongming, and those people immediately quieted down. I've already brought you out according to our agreement. She looked at them and continued, to ensure that you won't go back on your words, swear. Swear? The elders were stunned. Why did they have to swear? Why do you want us to swear? You don't want to believe us. Some of the elders were unhappy. Of course it's to be safe. Sima Yue said, you haven't advanced in rank yet. If you all advance in rank and become sacred beasts, one Chongming may not be able to suppress you all. What if you go back on your words? Of course, to be fair, I'll swear as well. No, that's disrespectful to us. The elder of the saber-toothed tiger clan immediately rejected it. They had originally thought that when they advanced in rank to become sacred beasts, they would go back on their words and leave Sima Yue. If they swore, how could they leave? Sima Yue laughed coldly. It's fine if you don't want to. Anyway, you haven't advanced in rank to become sacred beasts. I can kill you all right now. Chapter 381. The elder who spoke felt his breathing become sluggish. Being stared at by Sima Yue, he felt a chill down his spine. The killing intent in her eyes was so strong that it could feel that if it insisted, she would definitely kill it without hesitation. Just like that time in the clan's land, Chongming had easily injured him. We agree, Rong said. We also agree. Gongyan's expression was not good. After all, his own clansmen were being threatened. Sima Yue looked at them and said, then swear. The elders all swore that they would follow Sima Yue for 100 years and be at her beck and call. Just as they finished speaking, a white light descended from heaven and earth and entered their bodies. This was the effect of the rules. If they violated their oath today, the rules of heaven and earth would kill them. Sima Yue also swore that she would set them free after 100 years. After the oath was sworn, the same laws descended and entered her body. Not only that, she also called out all the mythological beasts with strength above level 5 and made them swear an oath. Knowing that their king and clan elder had already made the oath, these divine beasts did not hesitate and followed suit. Yue, do you want us to stay by your side for the next 100 years? Rong asked. Although the place Sima Yue had given them allowed them to breathe, they could not cultivate like other places. They were unwilling to be delayed for 100 years because of this. Don't worry, I'll be going to the primordial lands soon. Once I'm there, I'll naturally find a good place for you to stay. Sima Yue said, if there's a need, I'll look for you. Rong nodded. That was good. Alright, you can all advance now. Sima Yue kept the spiritual beasts that were at the pinnacle of the divine beasts and kept the rest back into the spirit pagoda. Which one of you feel that you can break through to the sacred beast realm? She asked. The answer she got shocked her. There were actually more than 30 of them from the two races. Other than the elders and the beast kings, there were also quite a few who could have become sacred beasts a long time ago. Including 1,000 resonants, there are a total of 39 of them. You can cultivate here and feel the difference in the laws. Sima Yue said. All right. Although the spirit beasts did not know why Sima Yue left them here, they really scattered around the valley and felt the difference between this place and the little realm. Sima Yue took out an elixir furnace and herbs and started to make elixirs. The divinity elixir was not only useful for people at the peak of the spiritual venerable realm, but also for spiritual beasts. Although the herbs were hard to find and the refining process was difficult, the grade was not high. It was only 6th grade. She first contacted Bei Gong Tang and asked her to tell Yunjin Wei and the others that she would be staying here for a few days. She then told them her location so that it would be easier for Bei Gong Tang and the others to find her. Then she began to refine the divinity pill. She had never concocted this pill before. In the beginning she had failed many times and wasted a lot of herbs. Fortunately, she had a lot of medicinal herbs which was enough for her to squander. This divinity elixir was indeed a heaven-defying elixir. The refinement process was so complicated that even she couldn't help but sigh. This failure rate could be said to be unprecedented. However, it was a good thing that her mental strength was strong. There were many times when she was on the verge of failure and saved the herbs in the furnace. 39 elixirs took her an entire 4 days to refine. She gave out the divinity elixirs to every spiritual beast, letting them eat it and advance in rank. Then she continued to refine them. 2 days later, 30 divinity elixirs came out of the furnace. 69 divinity elixirs, but the success rate was only 60%. She wasted 40% of the herbs. These few days she had spent at least a few billion worth of herbs. At the same time, the spiritual beasts had all successfully advanced to sacred beasts. 38 sacred beasts. Adding on her own 2, there were 40 of them. Even in the primordial lands, it was not easy to see such a scene. Are they all done? She asked Chongming. Chongming nodded, saying, they've all successfully advanced in rank. Not bad. Sima Yue said. Looking at 1,000 resonants who had already advanced to a sacred beast, she said happily, 1,000 resonants, you've already grown your 8th tail? That's great. If you want to transform, wait until this matter is over. I'll refine some pills for you. Okay, master. 1,000 resonants waved its 8 long tails and replied. It was very happy. Because by following her, it had advanced from a level 4 divine beast to a sacred beast in just a few years. Its strength had increased as easily as drinking water. And now that it had grown its 8th tail, its bloodline power had increased by quite a bit. Sima Yue looked at the other sacred beast. Snow Wolf King Rong walked over and said, thank you. Becoming a sacred beast had always been their dream. It was the pursuit of their ancestors. Now, it had finally been realized in their generation. And if not for her divinity elixirs, they might not have all successfully advanced in rank. You're welcome. Since we're all together now, I'll naturally think of you better. If your performance satisfies me, if any of your clansmen want to advance to a sacred beast, I can help. But if I'm not happy, I'd rather destroy these divinity elixirs than give them to you. Sima Yue said as she glanced at the saber-toothed tiger. It wasn't that she didn't know what the saber-toothed tiger was thinking. If they weren't willing to work for her, there was no need for her to give them these good things. After all, she was only good to herself. Alright, let's go back. She kept all the spirit beasts into the spirit pagoda, then sat on Little Rock and returned to the camp. Seeing her return, Bei Gong Tang walked over and said, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, I would have gone to look for you. What's the matter? she jumped down from Little Rock and asked. Yun clan head said that they found the person who was chasing after Yulin and the others. Bei Gongtang said, but it looks like that person is about to leave, so we're preparing to make a move. Found? Where? In the city in front. Bei Gongtang replied. All right. Fatty, go and tell Yun clan head that we can move at any time. Sima Yue said. Fatty, who was at the side, glanced at Sima Yue and muttered to himself as he went to the Yun clan. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang returned to her tent. Bei Gongtang saw that she was very tired and asked, what have you been doing these few days? You look so tired. Weren't you going to let those spirit beasts become sacred beasts? That's right. Sima Yue swallowed a drop of spirit fluid and said, to be safe, I refined a batch of divinity pills. I just finished refining them not too long ago. How are the results? Sima Yue smiled happily, saying, although that pill is rather hard to refine, the effects aren't bad. With the saber-toothed tiger and snow wolf added together, we have a total of 38 sacred beasts. Thousand Resonance has also advanced in rank to become a sacred beast. Including Halcyon, we have 40 sacred beasts. Adding on those sacred beasts, even if we go against the Sage Pavilion and the Zhan clan, we won't be at a disadvantage. Chapter 382. Bei Gongtang looked at the smile on Sima Yue's face and felt a little heartache, saying, refining 60 divinity pills in 6 days must have been hard on you. It's a pity that my level isn't high enough to help you. Alright, what are you blaming yourself for? Sima Yue glared at her and said, I'll need you to do a lot of things in the future. When the time comes, you won't be able to escape even if you want to. At this moment, Fatty walked in and said, the Yun family is already packing up the tents. It will be ready soon. I'm going to pack mine too. With that, he went out again. I'm going too. Bei Gongtang said as she walked out. Sima Yue only had a tent and a bed. With a wave of her hand, she kept everything inside and went out to wait for the others. After a while, everyone was done packing up. Yun Feng walked over and bowed to Sima Yue to thank her for saving his life. Later on, he heard about how Sima Yue had saved his life that day. Although he had recovered for a few days, Sima Yue was not around and he did not have the chance to thank her. Sima Yue didn't think much of it and said, if it wasn't for you, Yulin wouldn't have been able to escape from that person's hands. Me saving you can be considered helping him to repay you. Yulin is really lucky to have a relative like you. Yun Feng sighed. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu from the side, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Although he could take revenge himself in the future, he also liked to see her angry because of his injuries. Yun Jinwei walked over and told them to set off. Then he led them towards the small city. Perhaps it was because the outside of the city was a no-man's land, so there weren't many people coming and going. The city wasn't big either. Zhan Xiaoyuan walked out of the inn and prepared to return to the Zhan clan through the teleportation array. He had already reported the matter of killing the young master of the Yun family to the main family, and the main family told him that he could receive a reward when he returned. Therefore, after settling the matters here, he happily prepared to return to his home. But when he walked out, he saw someone he shouldn't have seen. Yun Feng? Didn't you guys enter the poisonous miasma for more than 2 days? How can you still be alive? Zhan Xiaoyuan was very surprised, his face full of disbelief. Yun Feng didn't say anything. Fear flashed across his face as he turned around and ran out of the city. You still want to run? Since I didn't kill you last time, I'll personally send you on your way this time. Zhan Xiaoyuan said as he chased after him. This kind of city had a rule that prohibited fighting within the city. He could only chase Yun Feng out of the city. The main family had already told him to go back and receive his reward. If they found out that Yun Feng was still alive, they would definitely accuse him of lying about the situation. Not only would they not reward him, they would also punish him. So no matter what, he had to kill Yun Feng today. He followed Yun Feng all the way to the outskirts of the city. Here they could fly. He saw Yun Feng fly to a mountain in the outskirts and sped up to chase after him. Before he landed, he saw a group of people on the mountain. His expression changed and he turned around to flee. However, he didn't know when, but there were a few people waiting for him in the air. Yulin, was he the one who forced you into the poisonous miasma? Sima Yue looked at Zhan Xiaoyuan and asked. Sima Yulin replied. It was this person who almost made him unable to see her forever. This person deserved to die. Without saying anything, the Yun family's divine-ranked experts all went to battle. Zhan Xiaoyuan, who had just advanced to the divine rank, could not withstand the attacks and was quickly killed without leaving a trace. Junior Valley Master, let's go back to the clan and discuss how to deal with the Zhan family in the Sage Pavilion. Yun Jinwei saw that Zhan Xiaoyuan was dead and said to Sima Yue. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Thinking about how she had to use the teleportation array again, she felt pain in her heart. Now that the restless continent was so big, when she went up there, the distance would be even further. Wouldn't it be even more painful to use the teleportation array? No, I have to quickly improve my ability to set up my own array. It won't be so painful to use my own array. When I go up there, I won't have to use the Spirit Master Guild's array every time. She secretly made up her mind. The Sima family followed the Yun family to the Yun family. Just like the Guo family, they were treated with great respect. Sima Yue went to rest for 2 days. In these 2 days, no one from the Yun family came to disturb her. After Sima Yue felt comfortable, she went to the Spirit Pagoda to study arrays. Teleportation array, I must study this teleportation array properly. Sima Yue muttered as she studied the books on arrays. When she was in the Little Realm, although her teleportation array could only send her a few miles away, she could feel that her teleportation array was much more stable than the one from the Spirit Master Guild. She did not feel that dizziness. So if she studied it properly, she would be able to get rid of the pain of dizziness from the teleportation array. There were directional teleportation arrays and random teleportation arrays. She had to master both of them so that it would be easier for her to travel. Little Spirit, why do I feel that this place is different from before? Sima Yue suddenly raised her head and asked. You just realized that it's different. When you advanced to Spirit Paragon, I also advanced. Little Spirit appeared in the air, hugging a bottle of pills as snacks. What's the difference? The time is longer than before. In the past, 1 day outside was 3 days inside. Now 1 day outside is 10 days inside. The spiritual energy is also denser than before. Little Spirit replied. Then has the second level been opened? No, according to your current strength, you should be able to open it when you reach the divine rank. I have to reach the divine rank. Sima Yue was a little depressed. It's so troublesome to open every level. How strong do I have to be to open the entire Spirit Pagoda? Don't be discouraged. You can't open it now because your spirit rank is too low. The increase in strength of a spirit rank is not comparable to the increase in strength of a divine rank. Little Spirit said. Really? Sima Yue's eyes lit up. Then wouldn't it be easy to open the Spirit Pagoda in the future? Don't be happy too early. The more you advance, the more strength you need. It's not that easy to open the Spirit Pagoda. Little Spirit poured cold water on her. However, this did not extinguish Sima Yue's happiness. It was fine as long as it was better than expected. Moreover, 1 day outside was equivalent to 10 days inside. She had more time to study arrays and pills. Moreover, hearing Little Spirit's words, when her strength increased in the future, it might even continue to evolve. At that time, it would definitely be better than now. Just thinking about it made her happy. Someone's coming. Little Spirit warned before disappearing from sight. Sima Yue walked out of the Spirit Pagoda and coincidentally heard a knock on the door. Come in. Bei Gong Tang brought Yunfeng in. Seeing Sima Yue, Yunfeng cupped his hands and bowed, saying, Uncle Guo and Pei Pei are here. My father invited you to the front for a chat. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Were they going to discuss how to destroy the Zhan clan? Chapter 383. Sima Yue followed Yunfeng to the living room of the main courtyard. When they arrived, Guo Siming and Guo Peipei were indeed there. There were also a few people she didn't know. Yun Jinwei sat in the main seat, and the Guo and Yun family members sat on either side. When she arrived, she was actually invited to the seat next to the main seat. Everyone in the room stood up to welcome her. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. She was not used to such a situation. However, when he thought about his identity as a Junior Valley Master, it was indeed quite impressive. Was this the so-called leaning against a big tree to enjoy the shade? She sat down in her seat and said, Everyone take a seat. You're all Yue's elders. You don't have to be so formal. Thank you, Junior Valley Master. Everyone thanked him and sat down. Junior Valley Master, we are planning to discuss how to deal with the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion. We would like to invite the Junior Valley Master to join us. Yun Jinwei said. As expected. Sima Yue said in her heart. Then she smiled and said, I don't know much about the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion's power. You guys can discuss it. I will listen from the side. All right. The Guo family and the Yun family also hoped that Sima Yue would interfere too much. She did not understand the situation of these forces. If her suggestions did not match the actual situation, it might bring trouble to them. The only reason they had invited her was to let her know about their plans. In order to make it easier for her to understand, Yun Jinwei first explained the general situation of the Zhan family, roughly how many people there were, how many businesses they had, etc. Sima Yue suddenly had an idea. It would be nice to bring the Sima family over to this continent. Previously, she had thought of bringing them to live in the primordial lands when she went there. However, after learning about the primordial lands, she felt that it was not a good thing to go there without strength. However, the current situation in the Yilin continent made her worried that there might be chaos at any time. If she continued to let them stay there, she would regret it to death if something happened one day. All things considered, moving here was the best choice. She could let the Guo family and Yun family help her. The Sima family could also increase their strength. The cultivation environment here was many times better than the Yilin continent. With this idea, she began to plan for the Sima family. Firstly, she needed a source of income. Secondly, she had to find a way to bring them over. Patriarch, how should we split the profits after the Zhans? Yue asked. What suggestions does the Junior Valley Master have? Yun's asked. Sima Yue's father and Yun Yue said, Gisses into Yue Yun was Yue. Yun Jinwei and Guo Siming were both surprised. She wasn't interested in these things earlier, so why did she suddenly make such a request? Why is young Valley Master interested in this? An elder of the Yun family asked. Yue, is Yue here? S of the clan's continents. 2. Sima Yue didn't intend to say it now, but if she really wanted to move the Sima family, she would need the help of the other two families. Why not tell them now? The Junior Valley Master wants to move the whole family here? Guo Siming asked. Sima Yue nodded. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know that the Yilin continent isn't suitable for living, I definitely want my grandfather and the rest to have a better life. Since that's the case, then my Guo family will give up our profits and share it with the Junior Valley Master. Guo Siming said. My Yun family is willing to give it up too. Yun Jinwei followed. Although the Zhan family had many businesses, but compared to being on good terms with Sima Yue, the latter was much more attractive. The Guo and Yun families had people in the Divine Devil Valley, so they had to be on good terms with Sima Yue. Sima Yue tapped her fingers on the table and said, No need, our family isn't that big. Even if we get so many businesses, we won't be able to digest them all. I'll take some of them and the rest will belong to you. Also, I'll give you enough compensation. Actually, the Yun and Guo families didn't intend to ask Sima Yue what compensation she was talking about, because they knew that she came from the Yilin continent, and that continent was lacking in resources, so they didn't think that she had anything good. After all, the Zhan family's wealth was too rich, and the portion that they gave her wasn't something that could be compensated with ordinary things. But when Sima Yue took out the item and heard the name, the Yun and Guo families felt their breaths stagnate, as if they had forgotten about their surroundings, and only saw the item in her hand. Junior Valley Master, is this really the divinity pill? The Yun family's elder swallowed his saliva, and stared straight at the pill bottle. That's right. Sima Yue poured out 2 pills, one for Yun Jinwei and the other for Guo Siming. I refined this 2 days ago, and it has already promoted the divine beast to a sacred beast, so you don't have to worry about the effect. Isn't it said that the divinity pill is very difficult to refine? Guo Pei asked. Even a 7th or 8th ranked alchemist might not be able to refine it, and the ingredients used are extremely harsh, so this divinity pill is simply priceless. Sima Yue smiled, saying, You should have people who have reached the peak of Spirit Paragon, but haven't advanced, right? This can help them advance to the divine rank. Is this divinity pill really ours? One of the elders carefully held the pill in his hands. Of course. Sima Yue took out 2 other jade bottles, saying, There are 9 pills in each bottle, so adding the ones in your hands there are 10 pills. This should be enough to cover the Zhan family's things, right? It's worth it, it's worth it. The value of this is much higher than those things. Guo Siming said. This was 10 divinity pills. Not to mention 10, even if there were 2 pills, 1 pill would be enough. This was because having 1 more divine rank cultivator would have a huge impact on a family, and it wasn't something that could be measured with wealth. If there were 10 more divine rank cultivators, the 2 families would be able to reach a higher level. Hence, this compensation was worth it. Sima Yue looked at their excited expressions, saying, I'll give each family 5 of these divinity pills first. If you can find a way for me to return and bring my family over, I'll give you the remaining 5 pills. If I fail, then the Zhan family's business will be of no use to me, and I'll just give up my share. How about this? Junior Valley Master, don't worry, we'll definitely find a way for you to return. Yun Jinwei said confidently. Compared to the Zhan family's business, they wanted the divinity pills more, so they would definitely think of a way to help Sima Yue return. Seeing them like this, Sima Yue smiled. Previously, when they helped her, it could be said that they were standing on her side, but now they were doing it for her, so naturally they would do their best. Alright, let's discuss the specific plan to destroy the Zhan family. Chapter 384. For the rest of the discussion, Sima Yue basically didn't say anything. She just listened quietly and didn't participate in the suppression of the shops. She would only lead people to participate in the final battle. Longting they discussed for a whole day, and only in the evening did they finalize the final plan. When it was over, she gave the divinity elixirs to the two family heads. Then she returned to the courtyard and told the Sima family about her plan. She also told them that she wanted to move the Sima family over. When they heard Sima Yu's thoughts, the Sima clansmen were all in agreement. Ever since they came into contact with the outside world, their horizons had been broadened, and they felt that the Yilin continent was not a suitable place to live. If they could bring the Sima family out, that would be the best thing to do. There was no need for Sima Yue and the rest to do anything in the early stages. Hence, they went to a nearby mountain range to cultivate. Before they left, she gave Yun Jinwei a mother-son stone so that it would be easier for them to find her. At the same time, she was also telling him not to look for her if there was nothing important. Yun Jinwei had lived for more than 100 years, so he naturally understood what Sima Yue meant. She meant that if there was anything, he would use this to contact her. Sima Yue brought the Sima family members to the mountain and asked Chongming to set up a barrier. Then she brought them into the Spirit Pagoda. Now that one day in the Spirit Pagoda was equivalent to 10 days, it would be intolerable if he didn't make use of it when he had nothing better to do. Time passed day by day. Half a year had passed in the outside world. They had lived inside for nearly 5 years. In these 5 years, each of them had made great progress. This kind of progress was absolutely shocking. The Yun family wasn't very far away, so they could feel the movements here from time to time. Sometimes they could feel the light of several advancements rushing into the sky. Later on, when the Yun family members saw the light of advancement again, they were already numb. Even if each of these freaks spent a day, they wouldn't be able to advance that much, right? One day, Sima Yue was setting up an array in the valley. Suddenly, she felt some movement from the mother-son stone. She took it out and heard Yun Jinwei's voice. Junior Valley Master, someone is looking for you. Yun Jinwei's voice could be heard. Looking for me? Sima Yue was stunned and asked, who is looking for me? They are from the Divine Devil Valley. Before Yuni could finish, Old Man Devil's voice rang out, Brat, get back here. Master, why are you here? Sima Yue asked excitedly. She did not expect to hear Old Man Devil's voice. Come back first. Old Man Devil snapped the mother-son stone and said to the man beside him, didn't you want to? Go. Don't regret it. The man's voice was low. When he raised his head, it was an extremely young face. He looked at Old Man Devil with an indifferent gaze, and his entire being emitted a cold aura. Tisich, what do I have to regret? Old Man Devil said. I will suppress my strength. The man flew out after he finished speaking. Yuni watched and said anxiously, Second Valley Lord, the Junior Valley Master has just become a spirit paragon. If he goes to test his strength now, will there be any problems? No problem, that guy knows his limits. Old Man Devil sat on the chair and crossed his legs. Are we really not going to take a look? Yuni was still worried. If you are worried, then go take a look. Tell them to come back early after they are done. Old Man Devil said. Yuni hesitated for a moment and bowed to Old Man Devil, saying, Your disciple will take her leave. She then ran towards the mountain range where Sima Yue and the rest were. Don't look down on my disciple. Old Man Devil snorted twice, showing his trust in Sima Yue. Sima Yue had just come out of the mountain range when she saw a person standing in the air. His hands were behind his back and his long hair fluttered in the wind as he looked straight at them. Yue, I feel like that person is here to pick a fight. Bei Gong Tang said. I can see that. Sima Yue and the rest stopped and faced that person. You are Sima Yue? That man looked at Sima Yue and sized her up with his cold eyes. Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? Sima Yue looked at that person and tried to filter the information in her head, but she couldn't remember who this person was. Fight with me. If you win, you can go. That man immediately attacked Sima Yue after he finished speaking. You guys back off. Sima Yue shouted and went up against that man. Ping! The two people's attacks met in the air and exploded. The others saw this and ran far away. 6th level Spirit Paragon? The man raised his eyebrows and looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. He formed a seal with his hands and said, "Black ice art." Small icicles slowly formed around his hands. With a thought, those icicles all flew towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue didn't expect him to use his spirit technique so quickly. She quickly formed a wall of fire to block the icicles and formed a seal with her hands. Most walls of fire did not have a strong defense, but Sima Yue's wall of fire was able to block all the attacks in front of it. When the spirit power of her wall of fire was depleted, those icicles also disappeared. But before she could relax, an even sharper icicle came flying towards her. She could even feel the coldness of the icicles. Luckily, she had finished preparing her spirit technique. She waved her long flaming sword and split the icicles apart. Raging fire slash. After she dodged the icicles, she raised her sword and slashed at that man. Ice shield. A huge ice shield quickly condensed, blocking her flaming saber. Sima Yue felt the coldness of the ice shield and was surprised. This ice shield was so strong that it could block her flaming sword. The flaming sword and the ice shield were in a stalemate. Suddenly, the man disappeared from his original position and the ice shield disappeared with him. Sima Yue was shocked. Where did he go? She closed her eyes and sensed her surroundings. Suddenly, she felt a slight fluctuation in the space behind her. At the same time, she felt a sense of danger. It's here. She moved her body and attacked that space with a wave of spirit energy. Ping! A wave of spirit energy appeared out of nowhere and the two collided in the air. Although it wasn't very intense, the man's figure was revealed. After the man appeared, he didn't attack again. He looked at Sima Yue and said, "You really have some skills." At this moment, Yuni flew over. Seeing that the two of them were not injured, she sighed in relief and asked, "Are you guys done fighting? You know him?" Sima Yue looked at Yuni and said, "If you know him, I won't kill him. I'll just hit his butt until it blossoms. I don't intend to let people who find trouble with me go." With that, she prepared to attack again. When Yuni heard Sima Yue's vulgar words, she was speechless. However, she still said, "The Junior Valley Master only wanted to test your strength. He didn't really want to find trouble with you." Sima Yue paused. She looked at that man and then at Yuni and said, "Junior Valley Master?" Chapter 385. Was this guy a Junior Valley Master? Yingbai Chuan? Sima Yue asked in disbelief. "Yuni, is this guy really Yingbai Chuan?" Yuni nodded. "You should call me Senior," Yingbai Chuan said coldly. Maybe it was because he cultivated the ice attribute, but Yingbai Chuan looked cold and arrogant. "Don't tell me you're here to test my strength?" Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. As the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley, other than having a skill, your cultivation and fighting strength must not be weak. Yingbai Chuan said, "Martial Uncle praised you as the best in the world, so I'm here to test you on behalf of my master." "Who is your master? The Great Valley Lord?" Sima Yue was speechless. "Yes." Yingbai Chuan said, "I suppressed my strength to that of a spirit paragon. Your performance is not bad." In fact, it was not just not bad, it was beyond his expectations. Although the two of them did not exchange many blows, but her reaction, the speed of her spirit skills and the richness of the spirit energy in her body greatly surprised him. If she did not meet him, she could be said to be invincible in the same rank. Thinking about how she found him when he was hiding, he said, "You're an array master?" Sima Yue was unhappy that Yingbai Chuan was testing her strength. She did not answer his question, turned around and waved to the Sima family, asking them to come over. Yingbai Chuan saw that Sima Yue was ignoring him, his eyebrows raised, but he did not say anything. Sima Yue and the others were a few hundred meters away when Sima Yue started fighting. To prevent the battle from affecting them, when they saw Sima Yue waving to them, they flew over. "Fifth bro, are you okay?" Sima Yue and the others looked at Yingbai Chuan nervously, not knowing why the two of them stopped fighting. However, this was also a good thing. They could feel his powerful strength. If they continued to fight, Sima Yue might not necessarily win. "He is the other Junior Valley Master of Divine Devil Valley." Sima Yue said, "Master is still waiting for us, let's go back." Everyone was dumbfounded. He was actually here to test her. When they returned, Yuni brought Sima Yue to the main hall where Old Man Devil and Yun Jinwei were waiting for them. The moment Sima Yue entered, she saw Old Man Devil sitting on the main seat with his legs crossed as he munched on a spirit fruit. Yun Jinwei was standing by the side, bent over and saying something. Master, why are you here? She walked over and found a place to sit down. Old Man Devil giggled as he looked at Ing Baichuan, who had followed behind him. How was it? Not bad, right? Martial Uncle has taken in a good disciple. Ing Baichuan said honestly. I already told you. If the two of you were at the same level, you might not be able to beat her. Old Man Devil said. Ing Baichuan was silent as he seriously pondered over Old Man Devil's words. If they were at the same level between him and her, who would win? He could feel that when she fought with him, she didn't struggle at all. Furthermore, his intuition told him that she still had a trump card that she hadn't used yet. However, he was looking forward to sparring with her again. You didn't tell Master that she's also an array master, he said. Array master? Old Man Devil was stunned. You know how to use arrays? I do. Sima Yue admitted. This Ing Baichuan was really sharp. It was just a simple sparring session, but he was able to guess her identity as an array master. Why didn't you tell me? Old Man Devil looked at her pitifully. He actually didn't know about his own disciple's skills. You didn't ask me? Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders. What else do you know? Old Man Devil asked. Beast taming. She replied, then glanced at him and said, Don't you already know this? Old Man Devil's mouth twitched. He had seen her taming Chongming, so he naturally knew that she knew how to tame beasts. What he was asking was if there was anything else she didn't know. Anything else? Nothing else. Just these three. When I have time in the future, I plan to learn how to refine weapons, she said. However, this was just her idea for now. As for whether or not she would put it into practice, that would depend on her. Chapter 386. After Sima Yue and the rest came out of the spatial tunnel, they went straight to Anyang City. It seemed like Old Man Devil was quite familiar with this place. You guys go back. Baichuan and I will go back up. You stay here. Old Man Devil said. Master, aren't you coming with us? Sima Yue asked. We can't interfere with your matters here. Whether or not you can survive this calamity is up to you. Old Man Devil said. Why? Sima Yue was confused. This is a convention from above. Old Man Devil said, if we casually meddle in the affairs of the lower realms, we will be attacked by other powers. There's such a convention? Of course, if we meddle in the affairs below, wouldn't the whole world be in chaos? The weak are protected by the heavenly Tao. Old Man Devil blew his beard. Then what about the Sage Pavilion expanding its influence everywhere? Although the Sage Pavilion is expanding its influence everywhere, the upper echelons are still unable to control the lower echelons. In other words, if something were to happen to the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not be able to send people down to take care of it. It's just that if they develop the offline, they will be able to obtain even more faith, and the people from the Sage Pavilion from the other continents will be able to directly enter the Sage Pavilion. That is to say, if we destroy the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not dare to send people to destroy the Yun and Guo families? Sima Yue understood. That's right. Old Man Devil said, every continent has its own destiny, and the Yilin continent's destiny is the worst. That's why it has become like this after millions of years. This time only you can resolve this matter by yourselves, but I believe that with you around, it won't be a problem. In a few months I'll come and take a look. If you're still alive I'll take you away. We're leaving. After Old Man Devil finished speaking, he opened another tunnel and brought Ing Baichuan in. Sima Yue waved her hand and shouted before the tunnel closed, Master, remember to pick us up early. Old Man Devil didn't answer her and the passageway closed. She didn't know if he heard her. Junior Valley Master, I can't help you if your life isn't in danger. Yuni made her stance clear. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Let's go back to the family first. I hope the family is fine. Sima Yuqing said worriedly. When they returned to the Sima residence, the guards at the gate were rather surprised to see them. These young masters and young mistresses had already left the clan for more than a year. They did not expect that they would return at this time. Young Master, young Mississippi, Sima Yulin nodded lightly at them asking, Where's my grandfather? The patriarch is not in the mansion right now, so the young patriarch is temporarily in charge of the family's affairs. The guard said. The young patriarch was Sima Yulin's father. The next patriarch was decided after Sima Tai woke up. Sima Yulin and the others went in to look for their father. Sima Jingren was very happy when he found out that Sima Yulin and the others had returned. Seeing that their power had already surpassed his, He was rather surprised. He sighed and thanked Sima Yu for bringing them out. "Father, what happened? Why isn't grandfather and the others here?" Sima Yulin asked. Sima Jingren sighed, saying, "We've always been paying attention to the situation in the ocean. A month ago, the ocean beasts in the ocean suddenly went crazy and attacked the humans. It's a good thing that we sent people to keep an eye on the situation over there, so we were able to defend in time." "Then what's the situation over there? The people from the various powers have all rushed over. Nobody can escape from this kind of situation." Sima Jingren said, "But even so, we're still the weaker side. It feels like all the spirit beasts in the ocean have come." "Grandfather and the others have all gone?" Sima Yulin asked. "Those who are spirit overlords and above have all gone. I've just finished arranging things and am preparing to bring the remaining people over." Sima Jingren said. "Let's go together." Sima Yuyang said. Sima Jingren was just about to say that they were too weak and should just stay at home when he suddenly remembered that they were already stronger than him. He nodded, saying, "Then let's go." As such, Sima Yu and the others set off again after returning home for less than an hour. This time they directly flew to a small city near the ocean. Sima Tai, Sima Lin and a group of elders stood on the city wall and observed the situation in the ocean, discussing the current situation. "More and more sea beasts are gathering here," Sima Lin said worriedly. "What do the other clans say?" Sima Tai asked. "Every clan says that they're in the same situation, especially the Nalan clan. They say that they can't hold on for much longer." Eldest elder said. "There have already been a few big battles and many sea beasts have died. However, they haven't retreated. Instead, there are more and more of them. This is not a good sign." Sima Tai said. "The most shocking thing is that those sea beasts are actually able to leave the ocean and come to land. This is too strange." Sima Lai said. "Have you guys noticed that those sea beasts have a black mist around them? It's this mist that allows them to fly." Sima Jun said. "We have to find the reason why the sea beasts are rioting." It was rare for the Sima family's ancestor to open his mouth, but he hit the nail on the head. The ocean had been peaceful for so many years. The situation that had happened recently was definitely not a coincidence. If they wanted the sea beasts to retreat, they had to find the reason for the rioting. "We've already sent people to investigate, but not a single one of them has returned. It's not just us. The other clans have also sent people to investigate, but it's the same situation," Sima Tai said as he furrowed his eyebrows. "Yesterday we sent 2 people to form a small team with the other clans to investigate. If they still can't find anything, then we can only do it ourselves. If only that child Yue was here. She has a sacred beast. She will definitely be able to find the reason," Sima Lin said. "But they're still in another continent. There's no point in thinking about them." Sima Tai sighed. "Oh, are you thinking about us?" Sima Yue's voice sounded, causing the group to think that they were hallucinating. Sima Yue and the rest came over from the city walls. When they saw Sima Tai and the rest, they smiled and bowed to the elders. "Weren't you guys in another continent? When did you come back?" Sima Lin asked in surprise. Sima Yue smiled and said, "Master sent us back. We went back to the clan and found out that you were all here, so we rushed over." "Yulin, did you see your father?" Sima Tai asked. "Father came with us, but he went to arrange for the people we brought over," Sima Yulin said. "Your strength?" Sima Lin felt that their auras were very similar to his, and looked at them in disbelief. Especially Sima Yue. Her aura was so strong that even they could not feel it. Didn't this mean that her rank was higher than theirs? Chapter 387. Hearing Sima Lin's words, everyone finally noticed their auras. They had all advanced to the level of spirit supremacy. Everyone was shocked. They had only been gone for a little over a year, but they had actually advanced from Spirit Grandmaster and Spirit Emperor to Spirit Supremacy. What did they encounter after they went out? Was it really that easy to cultivate in the outside world? "I got a lot of opportunities, that's why I rose so quickly," Sima Yulin said. "Grandfather." Sima Yuming and the others smiled as they walked to Sima Lai's side. When Sima Lai saw that his own grandson's rank was higher than his own, his heart was filled with emotion and pride. In the past few years, his strength had increased rapidly with the help of Sima Yue, but he still hadn't broken through to become a spiritual venerable. "Master, I heard you guys talking about me just now." Sima Yue did not forget what they said about how good it would be if she was around. "Yes." Sima Tai said, "Look at the sea." They were now in a city on a cliff by the sea. One of the city walls was on the cliff, and the waves from the sea would sometimes splash at the foot of the wall. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the surface of the sea and realized that it was filled with sea beasts. At a glance, the blue sea had turned black. Furthermore, it wasn't just limited to the city walls, but the entire coastline. Why is there such a venomous sea beast? Sima Yue and the rest were shocked. They did not expect the situation to be so serious. But sea beasts can only swim in the sea. As long as we don't go to the sea, won't we be fine? Fatty Chu asked. But the truth is not like that. Sima Lin said. Could it be that they can fly? Fatty Chu had originally wanted to tease them, but he did not expect the crowd to nod their heads in agreement. Damn, it can really fly? Yes. Sima Tai nodded. I don't know why, but those divine beasts all know how to fly. We've seen faint black lines on their bodies before, so we're guessing that this might be the reason. Then did you find out what that black line was? Sima Yuyang asked. No. We tried to investigate the cause of the sea beast's rampage, but we couldn't find anything. The people we sent out disappeared within 2 days. We guessed that they might have already met with misfortune. That's why we thought that if you were here, you might be able to find out the reason with a sacred beast. If we don't find the cause, I don't know how long this riot will last. Sima Yue frowned when she heard what they said. She instinctively felt that this matter had something to do with Forgotten Worry Island. At this moment, a guard rushed to the top of the city wall and looked around. When he saw Sima Tai and the others, he quickly ran over. Family head, the Sang clan has sent people to deal with us. Our plan has failed again. However, unlike the previous times, the sea beast threw the corpses back. The guard cupped his fists and said, Damn it. The elders clenched their fists, enraged by this blatant provocation. That person also said that the other 3 great clans are planning to gather all the leaders of their respective powers for a meeting to discuss their next step. The guard continued, in addition, the Sang clan's patriarch asked him to deliver a letter. Give it to me. Sima Tai said. The guard took out a letter and handed it to Sima Tai. He opened it and quickly skimmed through it. Patriarch, what did the letter say? The great elder asked. He told me the time and place of the meeting. Sima Tai said, they even said that the Nalan clan was the first to bring up this matter. They guessed that the Nalan clan had suffered heavy losses and wanted to take action. The Nalan clan suffered heavy losses? Did a lot of people die? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Sima Tai smiled. That smile was indescribably treacherous. At that time, the 4 great clans led the other clans, while the Li clan was in charge of providing the pills. I told them the 4 locations and explained the situation at each of them. Then, I told them about the situation at one of the locations in a more relaxed manner. That old man from the Nalan clan immediately rushed over. In the end, he discovered that the situation there wasn't as relaxed as I said. In fact, the situation there was worsening and it became the most serious area. They also suffered the most casualties. Then they didn't cause any trouble for you? Sima Yue didn't believe it. The Nalan clan didn't seem like they would be able to tolerate such a thing. They were clearly trying to scam them. What trouble could there be? When they went there, that place was indeed the most relaxed. The situation only worsened later on. We just didn't tell them about it. What could they say? Sly old fox. Sima Yue muttered. He must have discovered that the place looked the most relaxed now, but there were signs that it would get worse later on. However, he only told them about the current situation and didn't mention the signs. Therefore, the Nalan clan immediately chose that area. They thought that they had picked up a bargain, but they didn't expect to pick up a hot potato. Actually, the Nalan clan did contact the Sima family later on. However, the Sima family members said that they didn't know about it at that time. Moreover, the situation at that place was the worst. They were the ones who fought to go there. It had nothing to do with the Sima family. The Nalan clan was speechless. They knew that the Sima family had scammed them, but they couldn't do anything about it. They could only continue to stay there. Now that the situation was getting worse, they didn't want to maintain the status quo. Therefore, they proposed this meeting. Sima Yue guessed that they might even propose to choose a leader. Where will this meeting be held? The old ancestor of the Sima family asked. In Yi City, where the Nalan clan is stationed. The time is 5 days later. Sima Tai replied. Then who do you plan to bring? Eldest elder asked. Just you and Yulin. I'll just bring 2 more guards. Sima Tai said, the others will stay here and keep an eye on the situation. When he said that he would bring Sima Yue and Sima Yulin, the others didn't have any objections. Knowing that she had a sacred beast by her side, they didn't have to worry about the Nalan clan's tricks. However, there were 10 people who went on the journey because Bei Gong Tang and the others went with them. Wherever Sima Yue went they would go. There was no teleportation array between Yi City and the small city they were in, so everyone could only sit on flying beasts. They flew along the sea for 4 days before reaching Yi City. The Nalan clan had already sent people to welcome them at the city gates. That was why the Nalan clan knew when they arrived. However, Sima Tai didn't go to meet the Nalan clan. Instead, he brought Sima Yue and the others to an inn to find a place to rest. He didn't give the Nalan clan any face. When the other powers saw this, they couldn't help but purse their lips. The Sima clan was really... However, everyone knew about the grudges between the two clans. They also felt that the Sima clan's actions were reasonable. Yi City was also a city near the sea. Sima Yue had nothing to do on the second day, so she went to the sea with Bei Gong Tang and the others to observe the situation. She realized that there were more sea beasts here compared to other places. The situation was much more dangerous. Yue, look. There's something wrong with these sea beasts. Bei Gong Tang said as she pointed at the sea. Chapter 388. Sima Yue and the rest also noticed the abnormality in the sea. They nodded and said, "There is indeed something wrong with these sea beasts." Their eyes looked dull. Could it be that they are also being controlled like the spirit beasts in 10,000 Beast Mountain? Fatty Chu guessed. It's possible. Wei Ziqi nodded. Could it be the creature from Forgotten Worry Island that Yue mentioned last time? Ouyang Fei frowned. If that's really the case, then it'll be troublesome. Bei Gong Tang said. Yeah. Sima Yue sighed. If that was the case, it would be really troublesome. At that time, Chongming said that although that creature wasn't as strong as the one from 10,000 Beast Mountain, if it wasn't suppressed, he wouldn't have been able to fight against it. She recalled the time when she was in the sea, when she saw the black light devouring the creatures on the island. She still had some lingering fear. Sima Yulin naturally thought of that experience as well and was equally worried. At this moment, a group of people flew over them. When they saw them on the shore, they stopped for a moment. One of them alighted while the other group continued flying towards Kargalik. Brother Yulin. After Sang Cheongli landed on the ground, he nodded at Sima Yu before looking at Sima Yu saying, "I've been looking for you all this time. Later on, I heard that you left the Yilin continent." Sima Yu was stunned. Looking for her? You've become stronger. Sang Cheongli felt Sima Yu's aura and said, "You're much stronger than before. Have you already entered the Supreme Realm?" Sima Yu nodded. She remembered that this guy wanted to challenge her to a duel, but she didn't accept his challenge. It seemed that he came looking for him to compete with him. Sang Cheongli was shocked to see Sima Yu admit it, but he did not show it on his face. Brother Cheongli has always been at the coast? Sima Yulin asked. Yes, it's been here since the start of the sea beast rampage. Sang Cheongli said. Then did you discover anything? Sima Yu asked. Sang Cheongli looked at the sea beasts and said, they seem to be controlled by something. We also tried to find out the reason why they were being controlled, but the people we sent out didn't find anything. Instead, they never returned. This time, their corpses were directly thrown in front of us. Their deaths were too tragic. Sang Cheongli's voice was trembling. It seemed that he had been greatly provoked by this provocation. What about the strength of the sea beast? Are there any changes? Sima Yu asked. She remembered that Jade had once said that when the beasts of 10,000 Beast Mountain attacked the city, their strength would be a bit stronger than usual. It could be said that the suppressed creatures had added their strength to the spirit beasts and divine beasts. I heard from people who have dealt with sea beasts that there are no changes. Sang Cheongli understood what Sima Yu meant and replied. That's better, Sima Yu said. The most important thing right now is to find out the reason for controlling the sea beasts. Sima Yulin said, I hope it's not that. That. Could it be that Brother Yulin knows something? Sang Cheongli asked. Sima Yulin glanced at Sima Yu. Seeing that she didn't object, he told her about what happened at Forgotten Worry Island. In any case, the Sima family would talk about this during this meeting. He was just saying it in advance. However, I heard my grandfather say that he tried to send people to Forgotten Worry Island, but they never returned. He added. Almost none of the people who entered the ocean came back alive. Sang Cheongli said, then looked at Sima Yu and said, however, you have a sacred beast, so you might be able to. Previously, everyone had placed their hopes on Sima Yu. However, they found out that she had already left the continent for more than a year. They also found out that she had already entered the Divine Devil Valley. However, her identity as a junior valley master was not revealed. Furthermore, her departure from the continent was completed with the help of the Divine Devil Valley. Now that everyone knew that she had returned, they would definitely want to look for her to investigate this matter. Just as the few of them were chatting, the entire ocean started to boil. Those low-ranked sea beasts that had gathered before quickly dispersed. Following that, a group of divine beasts came from afar. When they were about to reach the shore, they suddenly flew into the sky. Oh no, it's the killer whales. Sang Cheongli looked at the killer whales and shouted. At this moment, a long horn sounded in Kargalic. Once the horn sounded, people appeared on the city walls one after another. Seeing the invading sea beasts, the faces of the people on the city walls changed. The killer whales were extremely ferocious. The strength of their tails was extremely strong. Those sharp teeth made people panic. How could it be the killer whales? Aren't these sea beasts rarely seen? Someone shouted. And there are so many of them. I'm afraid we don't have enough manpower. We must immediately send people from nearby. It's too late. There are too many killer whales this time. I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on for long. What do we do now? Could it be that we really can't escape this time? It can't be. There must be a way. What other way is there? There are so many divine beasts attacking, and many of them are 5th level and above. Those are divine beasts with the power of spirit paragons. But look at how many spirit paragons we have. Facing hundreds of divine beasts, these people panicked. Why are there a few youngsters standing over there? Someone noticed Sima Yue and the rest. The others looked over and indeed saw a few people standing in the distance, staring straight at the approaching group of killer whales. Their motionless looks were as if they were scared silly. It's them? Someone recognized Sima Yue and the rest and laughed loudly, saying, "Ha, I'm saved. I'm saved." Are you stupid? There are only a few of them. Why are you so excited? The person who recognized Sima Yue pointed at Sima Yue, as if he saw the hope of survival, saying, "That's Sima Yue from the Sima family. It's her." Yue generation? That's the youngest generation in the Sima family, right? Don't tell me you're counting on a little kid to save us? The person who spoke gave the person a look that said, "You're stupid. You're the stupid one." It's Sima Yue. She has a sacred beast by her side. With a sacred beast by her side, how could anything happen to us? That person said excitedly. I remember now. The Sima family does have a sacred beast. They said that they had already left this continent. I didn't expect her to be here. Then we're really saved. That's great. The people on the city wall were extremely excited. Their gazes towards the killer whales were no longer as fearful. Sima Yue stood by the shore and stared at the killer whales flying over, carefully observing something. Just as Sima Tai and the rest had said, these killer whales had faint black lines wrapped around them, as if they were being dragged out of the sea. But it couldn't be said that it was something that was controlling them. Then her gaze landed on the black clouds that were gradually floating over. She felt that the black clouds were a little strange. Chapter 389. That dark cloud gave her a strange feeling. On the sea, storms and hurricanes were possible, and this kind of dark cloud was very common. However, when she looked at the dark cloud, she felt that it was alive and had followed the sea beast here. There's something strange about that cloud, she said. The others also looked at the cloud, but they didn't find anything different. He's here. They didn't have time to look at the dark clouds carefully. The killer whales were already close to them. They had to put down their thoughts and fight with the people from the city. Am I seeing things? Are they spiritual paragons? Damn, it's true. They are all spiritual venerables. How old are they? Oh my god, this is unbelievable. Everyone pay attention to your battle. Be careful not to be eaten by the killer whale. Only when someone reminded them did they come back to their senses and continue to fight their opponents. However, their gazes would occasionally drift towards Sima Yue and the others. Although Sima Yue and the rest were all spiritual paragons, their opponents had many divine beasts of level 5 and above. They called out all of their contracted beasts. Uni didn't make a move from the beginning. Although she was standing there, no killer whale attacked her. It was as if she didn't exist at all. Although they were stronger, there were still people who died in the battle. Sima Yue unintentionally saw faint figures flying towards the dark clouds. What's that? She watched in surprise as the shadows flew into the dark clouds. She was so shocked that she even forgot about the killer whale in front of her. Fortunately, Little Rock and the others reacted and pulled her away. Yue, be careful. Bei Gong Tang, who was at the side, shouted towards Sima Yue after killing a killer whale. Yes. Sima Yue flew onto Little Rock's back and no longer faced the killer whale directly. Instead, she flew to the side and stared intently at the dark clouds. Although those killer whales didn't have their own consciousness, they knew how powerful Sima Yue was and didn't take the initiative to provoke her. Another spirit master was killed by the killer whale. She looked at the person and saw a faint figure floating out of the body and flying into the dark cloud. She could see the fear and constant struggle on the figure's face. It seemed that the figure was terrified of the dark clouds and wanted to escape but couldn't. Soon the figure was sucked into the dark clouds. Sima Yue could even see his distorted face before he was sucked into the dark clouds. What was going on? She looked at the dark clouds with a solemn expression. Yue, what are you looking at? Bei Gong Tang flew over. Her condition really made people feel uneasy. Did you see those shadows being sucked into the dark clouds? She looked at Bei Gong Tang and asked. Shadow? What shadow? Bei Gong looked at Sima Yue, not knowing what she was talking about. You guys didn't see it? She was surprised. Was she the only one who saw it? Another person died and the same scene repeated itself. Look, that shadow. She pulled on Bei Gong Tang's arm and pointed at the shadow. Bei Gong Tang followed her finger and looked, but still didn't see anything. Fatty Chu had just finished off his opponent and was caught by Sima Yue. She wanted him to see the shadow. I didn't see anything. Yue, what did you want me to see? The answer was the same as Bei Gong Tang's, nothing. Sima Yue was sure that she was the only one who could see those shadows. Those powerful killer whales were killed by Sima Yue and her contracted beasts. In addition to the people gathered in the city, the battle ended very quickly. Fresh blood dyed the entire sea red. The low-leveled sea beasts that surrounded the area all gathered in the distance and didn't come near anymore. And that dark cloud slowly floated away just like how it came. Other than the few of them, no one else paid attention to it. Sima Yue looked at the dark clouds with a grave expression. Yue, what did you see just now? Bei Gong Tang looked at Sima Yue. It didn't seem like she was trying to scare everyone. She seemed to have seen something that no one could see. Let's talk about it when we get back, Sima Yue said. She looked at Yuni and saw that Yuni was also looking at the dark clouds. Her eyes flashed. They returned to the inn in Yi City. Sang Qiongli also wanted to know what Sima Yue saw just now, so he followed along. Sima Tai didn't go to battle. He knew that with Sima Yue around nothing would happen. But he still went out and saw that Sima Yue and the rest were acting strangely from afar. When Sima Yue and the rest returned, the first thing he said was, "Did you discover something?" Sima Yue didn't expect that Sima Tai would know that she saw something even though they weren't together. She nodded and said, "Indeed. When we were fighting just now, I realized that there was a faint shadow floating out from the bodies of those who died. Those shadows were sucked into the dark clouds." What? Everyone was shocked. Why didn't they see any shadows? You said that those shadows all entered the dark clouds? Sima Tai asked. Yes. Sima Yue said confidently. Those shadows seemed to be very afraid of the dark clouds. They kept struggling but to no avail. In the end, they were all sucked into the dark clouds. What are those shadows? Are they the souls of those people? Fatty Chu guessed. That's possible. Then why did the dark clouds suck their souls in? Everyone couldn't understand and couldn't guess what was going on. Yuni, do you know something? Sima Yue thought of Yuni's expression and felt that he should know something. I'm not sure. I can only come to a conclusion after seeing it. Yuni said, but I'm more curious. Even I didn't see the shadow you mentioned. Why are you the only one who noticed it? Sima Yue was stunned. That's right, why was she the only one who saw those shadows? If even you can't see it, how can I see it? You're much stronger than me. Could it be that she was reborn and that was why she could see it? Maybe this matter has something to do with it. Sima Tai said, it would be great if we could investigate this. Clan head, let me investigate. Sima Yue said, if I'm the only one who can see it, I'm the most suitable person to investigate. Previously, she thought that this matter had something to do with the creature on Forgotten Worry Island. However, it seemed that it was because of the dark clouds. However, no one could say for sure whether the dark clouds had anything to do with that creature. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. A guard walked in and said, Clan head, the Nailin clan has sent someone to invite you. They said that they're holding a meeting in advance. It seemed that today's matter had made the Nailin clan even more afraid and they wanted to change the situation. Sima Tai stood up and said, since they've invited us, let's go over. Yue Yulin, the two of you come with me. Chapter 390. Sima Yue and the rest followed the Nailin family to a mansion. This mansion was probably the biggest mansion in the entire Kargalik. It was now the headquarters of the Nalan family. Sima family head, the other family heads have already arrived. Our family head is waiting for you inside. The guard who led the way said. Because Sima Tai walked very slowly and lived far away, by the time they arrived, the other forces had already arrived. It's getting harder and harder to meet the head of the Sima family. Everyone is here waiting for you. As soon as he entered the hall, a sarcastic voice sounded. Sima Yue looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old woman sitting in the middle. She was staring at them coldly. Who is that? She asked Sima Yulin softly. It should be the ancestor of the Nalan clan. Sima Yulin guessed based on where she was sitting. This matter was a very serious test for the entire continent, so all the ancestors of the various clans came out of seclusion. Sima Tai didn't seem to mind the old woman's words, saying, "The inn we're staying at is far from here. My grandnephew just finished participating in the battle this afternoon, so I spent a bit of time comforting him. Sorry for being late." Although he said that, there was no apology in his words at all. Speaking of this battle, this is the first time such a ferocious sea beast like the killer whale has appeared, right? Someone brought the topic to the battle. Not only that, this time there are more mythological beasts than before. If it wasn't for the little friends of the Sima family and their friends and contracted beasts, I'm afraid the entire city would be in danger. Speaking of this, everyone remembered that this group of young people and their contracted beasts were all spiritual venerables. When they thought about how much effort they had put into the battle today, everyone didn't mind that they were late. The Nalan family head sat beside the old woman and said, "Everyone can see that today's situation is actually quite dangerous. Because of the lack of coordination, our strength here is relatively weak. Everyone was almost wiped out. The situation is indeed quite dangerous." Everyone agreed. The Nalan family's head saw everyone's reaction, and the corner of his mouth slightly raised into a smile as he said, "Situations like this also happen in other places from time to time." When the people nearby received the news and rushed over, the casualties were already very serious. The death of every human weakens our combat strength. This is a huge loss for us humans, but this loss can be avoided. How can we avoid it? Someone asked. If we can integrate all the fighting forces into one and make a unified arrangement, this kind of unequal distribution of forces will not occur. The Nalan family head said. Patriarch Nalan, you mean to say that we should unite all the powers, form an alliance, and then choose a leader? Patriarch was said. That's exactly what I meant. Nalan family head nodded. To form an alliance, my Hua clan wholeheartedly supports this suggestion. The Hua clan's patriarch said. My Sang clan also agrees. The Sang clan head said. We also agree. Family headly said. Everyone's attention was focused on Sima Tai. If the 5 great clans agreed to this matter, then the remaining forces naturally wouldn't have any objections. Why are you all looking at me? Sima Tai leaned back in his chair and said, "This is something beneficial to mankind." My Sima family naturally agrees. The Nalan family head saw that Sima Tai agreed so easily and was somewhat surprised. However, he didn't show it too much and said, "What about the others?" We agree. Agree. Everyone present agreed with this suggestion and no one objected. Good. The Nalan family head waved his hand and everyone quieted down. He continued, "Since no one has any objections, then let's choose a leader. He will lead everyone to fight against the sea beast." Good. Everyone nodded. I wonder if there is anyone in mind for the position of leader? The Nalan family head asked. Naturally, only the strongest person can take on this heavy responsibility. Someone said. Naturally, the Nalan family's ancestor is the most suitable. Right, our Nalan family's ancestor is the strongest here. Naturally, she should be the leader. The others agreed. That's right. The Nalan family people all laughed. They expected that the ancestors of the great clans wouldn't personally attend this meeting. That's why they let their own ancestors attend. With these people's words, the position of leader naturally belonged to their Nalan family. Once they became the leader, they would definitely send the Sima family to the front and let them have a taste of being the vanguard. The old woman laughed and said, "This old woman is just a bag of old bones. How can I take on this heavy responsibility?" Nalan family head, you don't need to be humble. Other than you, who else can take the position of leader? That's right. This position belongs to none other than you, Nalan family head. Nalan family head saw that everyone was saying this and said awkwardly, "Since everyone is saying this, then this old woman will respectfully, if we're talking about the strongest, then it should be the Sima family's Sima Yue, right?" Nalan family head's words were interrupted and the last sentence was stuck in her throat. Who's Sima Yue? Someone asked. The smile on Nalan family head's face froze as she looked at the person who spoke. It was Sang Cheong Li. Sima Yue, the Yue generation. You're the youngest generation of the Sima family, right? She looked at the Nalan family head and asked. Yes, old ancestor. The Nalan family head replied. How many years has a young person cultivated? How can such a person be the strongest? You little brat, don't spout nonsense. Just stand behind your parents and listen. Someone was unhappy. Sima Yue did not expect Sang Cheong Li to mention her name. She raised her head and looked at Sang Cheong Li. Not only her but everyone else also looked at him. Sang Cheong Li did not get angry and explained, You only said that she is the strongest. You didn't say whether it was her own cultivation or external help. This Sima Yue's strength is something that many of you cannot compare to. Just based on the fact that she has contracted a sacred beast, she is better than everyone here. Sacred beast. That's right, I've heard that a sacred beast appeared in our continent and was contracted by someone. I didn't expect it to be contracted by a young person from the Sima family. The Yilin continent was so big and not everyone knew Sima Yue. Now that they heard that she was the one who had contracted the sacred beast, they all had different thoughts. If they were to calculate it that way, she was indeed the strongest person here. Her sacred beast was enough to kill everyone present. The Nalan family did not expect that someone would come out of nowhere. Just as they were about to get the position of the alliance head, something like this happened. The Sima Yue is still young. If she is to take the position of the alliance head, I'm afraid that she is not experienced enough? The Nalan family head said with a black face. Chapter 391. Sima Yue wasn't interested in the position of the chief, but she couldn't let the Nalan family become the chief. Otherwise the Sima family would be in danger. Therefore, when she heard the Nalan family head's question, she casually replied, It doesn't matter whether I have experience or not, as long as my family has prestige in Chongming. After saying that, she even called out Chongming. The moment Chongming appeared, the aura of this sacred beast enveloped the entire hall. Seeing Chongming, the faces of the Nalan clan members turned even darker. His appearance indicated that their chances of seizing the position of alliance head were slim. Sima Yue looked at the Nalan clansmen and gave them a big smile, saying, Also, if I become the alliance leader, I will naturally listen to everyone's opinions and will not act arbitrarily. After saying that, she glanced at the patriarch of the Li family. The head of the Li family stiffened and said, We support little friend Yue. We also support our young friend Yue. The Sang clan leader said. The Hua family also expressed their support for Sima Yue. We also support Yue. The South Eclipse Emperor, who had been very quiet all this time, said. We are the same. The West Moon Imperial family said. The people who said that they supported old ancestor Nalan were originally people arranged by the Nalan family themselves. They were all forces that were usually on good terms with them. Those important forces didn't say anything at all. Now that they had unanimously expressed their willingness to support Sima Yue, the Nalan family's faces were even darker than the bottom of a pot. This was a blatant slap to their family's face. Seeing that their bosses had expressed their support, the people who were usually on good terms with the big families all expressed their willingness to support Sima Yue. Sima Yue looked at the Nalan family head's face and smiled even more brilliantly, saying, There should be more than half of them, right? Since that's the case, I'll accept your offer and become the leader of this alliance. Greetings, Alliance Master. Some people bowed to her, and even the Hua and Sang family heads nodded to her, officially acknowledging her current status. No matter how much the Nalan family objected, they couldn't go against the wishes of so many people and could only acknowledge her status. I heard that the Alliance Master left the Yilin continent and just came back a few days ago. I'm sure you don't understand the current situation? How do you plan to arrange the people from the various powers? The Nalan family head asked. I was just about to talk about this matter when Nalan family head asked. It seems that he is more concerned about this issue. Sima Yue smiled, saying, It's just as the Nalan clan leader said just now. As the alliance leader, I only have Halcyon's prestige, but I don't have your 100 years of experience. That's why I plan to choose a vice alliance leader and let him arrange the manpower. When I'm not around, our alliance will be under his control. Hearing Yue's, Sima Yue had a bad premonition. As Yang, as confirmed, was right. My family head's strength and ability is clear for all to see, so I think there shouldn't be any problems with him being the vice leader, right? Sima Yue said. Everyone wanted to say that there was a problem. If the leader and vice leaders' positions were to be taken by the Sima family, wouldn't that be monopolizing everything? But when they saw Halcyon by her side, they swallowed their words of objection, and swallowed it down their throats to express that they had no objections. Since that's the case, then it's decided. Chongming is in charge of overseeing the alliance. If there's anyone who's not willing to follow orders, then it's a challenge to his authority. Sima Yue said, and the vice leader's in charge of everything. When I'm not around, he'll have my authority. I hope everyone can cooperate well. Yes, of course. Sima Yue looked around and said, I'll say the ugly words first. If there's anyone who's dissatisfied and wants to go against the vice's leader's orders, resulting in heavy losses, don't come looking for me. Chongming and I aren't people with good tempers. If there's any accident, don't blame me for not warning you. Everyone was speechless. This threat was so obvious. Alliance leader, can't you be more tactful? We understand the alliance leader's meaning. Nalan family head said unhappily, but since everyone is here to discuss how to deal with these sea beasts, what plans does the alliance leader have? Nalan family head, the alliance leader said just now that the vice's leader will be in charge of all the arrangements. Are you asking the alliance leader this now to make things difficult for him, or did you not listen to the alliance leader? Hua family head said. How can I not listen to the alliance leader? I just feel that it's better for the alliance leader to understand the situation. Sitting in this position without knowing anything about the situation, it's hard for the other spirit masters to be convinced. Nalan family head quibbled. Sima Yue smiled and said, Nalan family head is right. However, it's not like I don't know anything. Then how much does the alliance leader know? It's a coincidence that I was the first to notice the abnormality in the ocean. Sima Yue said, 3 years ago my grandfather and I just returned to the family. There was one time when we went to Forgotten Worry Island to look for a few medicinal ingredients. We just happened to encounter the incident that happened on Forgotten Worry Island. She explained the situation in detail, making everyone present feel the terrifying power of the black light. It's because of this incident that the Sima family realized that the ocean was not peaceful these past few years. I think my family head has the right to speak on this matter. Sima Yue continued. That's right. Sima Tai continued her words and said, we didn't mention this incident back then because it was too terrifying. We didn't dare to mention it so as to avoid scaring everyone. Then why did you say it now? Someone questioned. Because the alliance leader is back. Sima Tai glanced at that person and said, if the alliance leader didn't come back, we wouldn't have a sacred beast. Who would dare to touch this matter? Thinking about it, they couldn't even walk 10,000 nautical miles out of the ocean, much less enter Forgotten Worry Island. However, we still need to verify whether this is the reason for the chaos of the ocean beast this time. Sima Yue said, the ocean has always been peaceful. There must be a reason for this to happen. Only when we find the reason can we completely solve this problem. I've decided to bring Chongming to the ocean to investigate. You guys have to hold the fort at the seaside. I don't want to wait for my return to find that you guys have already lost your fort. Alliance leader, don't worry. We will do our best to protect the continent. Someone said. Alliance leader, this trip is dangerous. Who are you bringing? Sang Qiongli asked. The road ahead is dangerous, so I want to bring as few people as possible. Sima Yue seemed to think for a while before replying. Originally, I wanted to go alone. Ordinary people would only be a burden. However, now that I've seen Elder Nalan, I would like to invite Elder Nalan to go with me. I wonder if Elder Nalan would be willing to help find out the cause of this incident? Chapter 392. Elder Nalan did not expect Sima Yue to speak in front of everyone. How could she say no under such circumstances? Of course not. Otherwise, the Nalan clan would become the laughingstock of the entire continent. Since the Alliance head says so, this old one will follow the Alliance head on this trip. Laozu. Nalan Jie looked at Sima Yue angrily. She must not have asked the Laozu to come with good intentions, but the Laozu actually agreed. Alliance Master, I'm willing to go with the Elder Ancestor, he volunteered. You? Sima Yue glanced at him and said, forget it. You're too weak. You'll only drag us down if you go. Nalan Jie almost couldn't breathe, but he couldn't refute. Everyone had been on the same starting line for more than a year, but in the blink of an eye, she had left them so far behind and was already looking at them from a higher position. I'll go with you, Sima Yulin said. All right. Sima Yue nodded and said to the people present, It's an emergency. I'll go with them to check the situation. I'll leave the matters here to you. Alliance head, don't worry. We will discuss this properly, Sima Tai said. Sima Yue understood what Sima Tai meant. It seemed like the Nalan clan had no chance of leaving this place. Ancestor Nalan, time is of the essence. Let's go, she urged. Elder Ancestor Nalan stood up reluctantly. She originally wanted to find an excuse for Sima Yue to not go, but she didn't expect that Sima Yue would leave now. How could she say it? How could Sima Yue not know what old Ancestor Nalan was planning? That was why she asked to set off now. She took out the Mother-Sun Stone and contacted Wei Ziqi and the others. They agreed to meet at the city gate, and then left with the extremely unwilling Elder Nalan. When they reached the city gates, Wei Ziqi and the others were already waiting for them. Seeing old Ancestor Nalan, they were a little surprised. Why did she bring such a cold old woman with her? Yue, who is she? Fatty Chu asked. This is the elder ancestor of the Nalan clan. You will be going to the sea with us. Sima Yue said, let's prepare to go out to sea. Wait. Elder Nalan opened her mouth to stop them, then looked at Wei Ziqi and the others unkindly, saying, they want us to go together? Yes. I don't agree. Ancestor Nalan directly refused, saying, their strength is so low, they will only drag us down if they go. She had agreed to go with Sima Yulin in order to find a chance to destroy him. After all, the sea was dangerous and they might not be able to protect him all the time. But if there were too many people, it would lower the standard. They might even be in danger. Sima Yu sneered, saying, I'm afraid it's not up to you to say yes or no. Don't forget I'm the Alliance Master. Or are you saying that you want to disobey my orders as soon as we leave everyone's sight? Alliance Master? Fatty Chu and the rest looked at her, not knowing what had happened while they were gone. Those spirit masters who were dealing with the corpses of the sea beasts all looked over in confusion. Elder Nalan glared at those people, and the pressure of a spirit paragon made them unable to breathe. They all lowered their heads. She turned around and looked at Sima Yue, saying, since Alliance Master insists, don't blame me for not warning you if anything happens. I don't need you to remind me. Sima Yue was too lazy to bother with her. She called out Little Rock and brought them up, heading towards the depths of the sea. It was only after they left that those spirit masters finally raised their heads and sighed as they looked at their backs. When Little Rock was flying, he released his own pressure. Those lower-ranked sea beasts did not dare to come out, allowing them to fly peacefully for an entire night. However, this was just the beginning. When they entered the depths of the sea, Little Rock had no choice but to retract his pressure. Because there were already many divine beasts in the area they were in, releasing his pressure would be seen as a provocation and would attract even more sea beasts. If it was in the past, Sima Yue would definitely not care because those sea beasts could only stay in the sea and could not cause any harm to them. However, now that they could fly, it was rather dangerous. There's a patch of dark clouds. Bei Gong Tang pointed to the sky to the left. The sky was clear and there were no clouds for thousands of miles. This patch of dark clouds was especially eye-catching under the blue sky. Let's go over and take a look. Sima Yue instructed Little Rock. They quickly approached that patch of dark clouds and circled it a few times. They did not find anything different from normal dark clouds. Should we go into the dark clouds to take a look? Fatty Chu said. Okay. Sima Yue also had the same idea. Wait. Yuni, who had been quiet all this time, spoke up to stop them. What's wrong, Yuni? Sima Yue asked. Try attacking this dark cloud first. Yuni said. Sima Yue was a little confused, but she still listened to her and condensed her spirit energy to attack the dark cloud. Dash, squeak dash, when her attack entered the dark cloud, it did not disperse like normal dark clouds. Instead, it seemed to have been swallowed by the dark cloud and let out a strange sound. The sound was extremely sharp and caused goosebumps to rise on everyone's skin. Damn, what kind of dark cloud is this? It's so strange. Fatty Chu cried out. So strange. Ouyang Fei and the others were also surprised. Again. Sima Yulin said. Okay. Sima Yue got Little Rock to fly a little further away, and then launched an even more powerful attack. Squeak dash, the dark cloud let out an even sharper sound than before, and the sound was so loud that it hurt their ears. Not good. Chongming cried out and quickly set up a barrier enveloping them all. The sound was cut off once they were inside the barrier, and Little Rock brought the few of them into the water. Sima Yulin quickly called out his flying beast and caught everyone, avoiding the danger of falling into the water. The few of them lay on the back of the flying beast, their bodies weak and their heads in pain. After a long while, Sima Yue finally recovered. Seeing that they were still weak, she took out a pill and distributed it to everyone. This was a pill that had been added with soul fluid, and had an absolute healing effect on soul injuries. The sharp sound just now seemed to have hurt their hearing, but in reality, it had pierced their souls, which was why they felt so uncomfortable. After eating the pill, everyone slowly recovered, but they still had lingering fears about the situation just now. What was that thing? Elder Nalan was the oldest, so she had suffered the most damage. Even after eating Sima Yue's pill, she still had no energy. Sima Yue also felt that it was a little hard to understand. Wasn't that a dark cloud? How could this kind of attack appear? She saw Yuni's expression and asked, "Yuni, do you know what that is?" Chapter 393. Yuni looked at the dark cloud floating away and said, "Let's catch up with it first. I'll tell you what it is later." All right. The flying beast led everyone in the direction of the dark clouds. The dark clouds drifted away quickly, leaving Sima Yue and the rest far behind. If it wasn't for the fact that the sky was cloudless and the dark clouds were too conspicuous, they wouldn't have been able to catch up. Ancestor Nalan didn't pay much attention to Yuni before because she couldn't feel his aura. Moreover, he came out with Wei Ziqi and the others, so she didn't pay attention to him after glancing at him. Now that she saw him, a sense of fear rose from her heart. "Yuni, can you tell us what it is now?" Sima Yue asked. Yuni looked at the dark clouds and said seriously, "If I'm not wrong, that's a soul-devouring beast." Soul-devouring beast? Upon hearing this name, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. What kind of spirit beast is the soul-devouring beast? I've never heard of it before, Fatty Chu asked. The soul-devouring beast is a type of dark spirit beast. In the past, it was only found in the devil realm and the ghost realm. But from what I've read in ancient books, the devil realm and ghost realm didn't have soul-devouring beasts for a long time. Yuni said. If it's not in the devil realm or the ghost realm, where did this soul-devouring beast come from? Sima Yue frowned. Since it involved the devil realm and the ghost realm, the situation was extraordinarily complicated. At the same time, she contacted Mo Sha in her mind and asked him about the soul-devouring beast in the devil realm. Soul-devouring beast? When Mo Sha heard Sima Yue mention this, he said, "A million years ago, there were indeed soul-devouring beasts in the devil realm. However, because it could absorb souls and was too savage, it was exterminated by the entire devil clan. Logically speaking, the soul-devouring beast should no longer exist in the devil realm." "How do you know about the soul-devouring beast?" Sima Yue told him about how she saw the dark cloud absorbing the souls and how she was attacked. Mo Sha was silent for a while, saying, "From what you're saying, it should be a soul-devouring beast without a doubt. However, why would a soul-devouring beast appear in the Yilin continent? This point is inconceivable." "What?" "Because soul-devouring beasts can't live in the world of light for a long time, it's impossible for soul-devouring beasts to grow in the human continent. That is to say, this soul-devouring beast came from another place, but the devil realm and ghost realm cannot easily break through the barrier in between." Mo Sha explained, "So if the soul-devouring beast came over, there must be some powerful person controlling it." Sima Yue was even more worried when she heard what he said. And most importantly, why would the soul-devouring beast come here to devour human souls? What's the purpose? Is it related to the devil realm or ghost realm? Mo Sha added. "We can't lock up that world for the time being. We have to deal with that soul-devouring beast first." Sima Yue said, "Can you deal with that soul-devouring beast? That thing seemed to be very powerful. Just its cry was enough to injure their souls." "I can't." Mo Sha said, "If I had a physical body it wouldn't be a problem. But right now I'm just a spirit body. Spirit beasts are the natural nemesis of spirit bodies. No matter how strong they are, they will be restrained." Then what's the weakness of spirit beasts? She couldn't rely on Mo Sha, so she could only look for an attack. Actually, dark-type spirit beasts have two natural nemeses. Mo Sha said. "What?" "Fire and lightning." Mo Sha said, "I can't deal with this soul-devouring beast, but there's someone by your side who can. Go find him." After he finished speaking, Mo Sha cut off the connection and returned to silence. Sima Yue knew who he was talking about. It was the sovereign of fire that had always been sleeping in her body, Qi Yan. However, she had never seen Qi Yan when she was awake. This guy had always been sleeping. If she wanted him to deal with the soul-devouring beast, she could only wake him up. Sima Yue cut off the conversation with Mo Sha and heard Yuni telling the others about the soul-devouring beast. This soul-devouring beast can control spirit beast spirits, so they can't help but attack humans. After killing them, it will take the opportunity to devour their spirits. Then was that dark cloud just now a soul-devouring beast? Why does its original body look like that? Fatty Chu said. That shouldn't be its original body. Yuni said, the ancient books said that the soul-devouring beast would usually split its body into many parts and let these parts devour spirits. Then it would fuse together to gain strength. That dark cloud was only a part of its body, but it was able to injure all of us. How powerful would its original body be? Bei Gong Tang said in astonishment. No matter how powerful it is, it will be restricted by the rules here. Its strength can only be below that of a spirit paragon. There's nothing to be afraid of. Elder Nayland snorted coldly. Since Elder Nayland said this, you must be very confident. Then I'll leave this thing to you to deal with. Sima Yue said with a smile. Elder Nayland didn't think that Sima Yue would actually say this. Just as she was about to retort, she was choked back by Fatty Chu. Elder Nayland is so powerful. You definitely won't say no. Fatty Chu said with a smile. What do you know, humph? Elder Nayland couldn't finish her sentence. She glared at Fatty Chu and didn't say anything. When the others saw her like this, they lowered their heads and laughed. The flying beast followed the dark cloud and flew. A few days later, they passed through the sea and saw a group of small islands. The dark cloud flew into the small islands and disappeared. The one in front was the one that Sima Yue had been to before. Forgotten Worry Island? Sima Yue and Sima Yulin said blankly as they looked at the small island. This is Forgotten Worry Island? Fatty Chu and the others looked at the small island and didn't see anything special. However, when they thought of the scene that Sima Yue had described, everyone was a little afraid of this small island. Elder Nayland looked at Forgotten Worry Island and asked, is this really Forgotten Worry Island? Sima Yue nodded. Did that dark cloud really enter this small island? Although we were far away, we all saw it disappear here. Wei Ziqi said. Then should we go to the island? Sima Yulin asked. Yes, how can we not go? If we don't go, how can we find that spirit beast? Sima Yue said. But that soul-gnawing beast is so powerful. If we go to the island, won't it attack us? Elder Nayland said disapprovingly. What's wrong with that? Elder Nayland, didn't you say that spirit beasts aren't scary? Fatty Chu said unconcernedly. However, Elder Nayland almost fell off the flying beast. Let's go. Sima Yue got Sima Yulin to keep the flying beast and brought everyone to Forgotten Worry Island. Mo Sha said that soul-gnawing beast should be injured. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in such a hurry to return to its main body. If they could find it at this time, they would be able to get rid of it easily. How could she miss such a good opportunity? Chapter 394. Seeing that Sima Yue and the others had gone down, old ancestor Nayland had no choice but to follow. That soul-gnawing beast was so powerful. If she was alone, who knows what would happen. It was better to follow them. At least there was a sacred beast with them. Sima Yue and the others arrived at the same place as when they first came to the island. When she saw the big rock, she couldn't help but think of Jun Lin in Shenyuan Pavilion. Back then they had met here, but not long after there was no news of him. He didn't know where he was now or if he was trapped again. Yu, where are we going to find that soul-devouring beast? Fatty Chu asked. I'll send someone to investigate first. Sima Yue did not dare to step into the depths of Forgotten Worry Island, so she called out a swarm of scarlet bees and got them to fly around the island to gather information. They waited at the edge of the island. Since the soul-devouring beast was here, there might be other spirit beasts as well. It would be unwise to go in without understanding the situation. Yu, don't you feel that this place is a little different from the last time? Sima Yulin looked around and asked. You felt it too. Sima Yue said. What's different here? Fatty Chu ran to Sima Yue's side to seek a sense of security. Sound? Sima Yue said. Voice. Fatty Chu didn't understand. What was so different about this voice? This place is strangely quiet. Bei Gong Tang said. Other than the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, there are no other sounds around. Wang Fei said. It's as if there isn't a single living thing here. Wei Ziqi was shocked. Sima Yu and Sima Yulin exchanged glances. This was too strange. Don't tell me that the black light you mentioned before ate all the creatures here? Fatty Chu said. I don't think so. Sima Yue shook her head. We saw that the black light only sucked in the spirit beasts, but not the other animals. But now, there's not even the sound of butterflies or bees on the island. Could it be that something killed those animals? Bei Gongtang said. Could it be a soul-devouring beast? Wei Ziqi guessed. Possibly. Sima Yulin said. Let's wait and see what the bees bring back, Sima Yue said. However, after a long time, those scarlet bees did not return. Sima Yue called out the scarlet queen bee, but it said that it had lost contact with the scarlet bees. That was a few hundred scarlet bees, which was definitely a very strong team outside, but after entering the small island, they had silently lost contact with them. Are they all dead? Sima Yue asked. No. The scarlet queen bee said, I can still feel their life force, but I can't contact them. I think someone might have blocked the connection between our souls. It should be a soul-gnawing beast. Sima Yulin said. Maybe it's being controlled by it. Bei Gongtang said. What should we do now? Everyone looked at Sima Yue, waiting for her to make a decision. At this moment, a buzzing sound was heard. They looked towards the source of the sound, only to see a few hundred scarlet bees attacking them, catching people and wanting to sting them. Every single bee's eyes were empty and lifeless. One look and you could tell that they were being controlled. When Ancestor Nalan saw the scarlet bees flying towards her, she condensed her spirit chi and was about to attack them. However, before she could use her spirit skill, she felt the environment change. They went from the small island to a vast and boundless place. Where is this? She looked at her surroundings in shock. However, nobody answered her. They were all beside Sima Yue, looking at the scarlet bees that she had brought in. When the scarlet bees attacked, Sima Yue brought them into the spirit pagoda, bringing Elder Nalan in as well. The moment those scarlet bees entered, Sima Yue locked them into a transparent spherical container. They bumped into the container carelessly, looking outside with fierce eyes, revealing a sense of ruthlessness. It was not like how they usually were. Little spirit, cut off all contact with the outside world. Completely isolate the outside aura. Sima Yue ordered. Okay. Little spirit replied. After that, those scarlet bees quietened down and stopped bumping into the container. They also stopped glaring at them fiercely. Sorry, Master. We apologize for our actions just now. The leader of the scarlet bees apologized to Sima Yue guiltily. They actually wanted to attack their own master. To a contracted beast, this was a shameful act. You're just being controlled. Sima Yue did not blame them. Then she said to the scarlet queen bee, go and see what they went through just now. Okay. The scarlet queen bee flew to the middle of the group of scarlet bees and chose a few. She grabbed their tentacles and used her consciousness to read their memories. Sima Yue closed her eyes at the same time. She was able to see everything that the scarlet queen bee saw. After those scarlet bees left, they flew towards the depths of the island. Just as Sima Yue and the others said, they did not see a single living creature on the island. There were only a few charred plants and a few insect corpses. The scarlet bees continued to fly towards the depths. Suddenly they saw a black fog. That fog was rolling thickly. Suddenly, a pair of blood-red eyes opened from the black fog and looked over. The blood-red eyes caused Sima Yue to shiver uncontrollably. Suddenly, the black fog surged over and quickly wrapped around the scarlet bees. After that, they only saw endless darkness. The scarlet queen bee retreated. After the scarlet bees were controlled, they did not leave behind any memories. Sima Yue opened her eyes and told them what she saw. Looks like that black fog was the soul-gnawing beast. Sima Yulin said, the scarlet bees looked like those sea beasts when they came back. It looks like those sea beasts were controlled by the soul-gnawing beast. Could this soul-gnawing beast be the one that you saw a few years ago? Ouyang Fei asked. I don't think so. Sima Yue shook her head. The aura of the two is different. The feeling it gives me is different as well. It doesn't feel like the same spirit beast. If we want to know why the soul-gnawing beast appeared here, we have to find it first. Sima Yulin said. We can only do this for now. Sima Yue said, it's a good thing that we already know where the soul-gnawing beast is. We have to go over carefully. Then what about her? Bei Gongtang looked at Elder Nalan, who was still sighing at this good place. Elder Nalan felt that everyone was looking at her. She turned around and kept the greed in her eyes. She returned to her usual evil self and asked, where is this? In my space. Sima Yue said. Your space? Elder Nalan's eyes shone. She lowered her head and could not hide the greed in her eyes. Chapter 395. That's right. The spirit pagoda that I obtained can contain life and grow herbs. Sima Yue nodded. How did you get such a good treasure? Ancestor Nalan couldn't hide the excitement in her heart, and the wrinkles on her face deepened because of her smile. You don't have to worry about that. Sima Yue sneered at elder Ancestor Nalan. As expected, this old fellow was plotting against him. But didn't she know that he had no intention of letting her out after bringing her in? And I won't ask, Ancestor Nalan said with a smile. What did it matter who owned it in the past when it was in her hands? But perhaps it was because she didn't like to smile in the past, so when she smiled now, it looked like a sinister smile. Old Ancestor Nalan, you can't be having ideas about Yue, right? Fatty Chu looked at her wrinkled face and said in disgust. How could that be? How could that be? This is the Alliance Master's treasure. How could I dare to have any bad intentions? Elder Nalan hurriedly denied. Now that they still had the sacred beast, even if he had such thoughts, he could not express it. Actually, it doesn't matter if you really want to hit on me, Sima Yue said with a smile. Ancestor Nalan's heart shook, and an ominous premonition filled her heart. As expected, Sima Yue's words proved her intuition right. I don't care if you have any designs on me. Since I let you in, I have no intention of letting you out. You can only think of today. Sima Yue looked at her with murderous eyes. Ancestor Nalan glared at Sima Yue and said, You want to kill me? Don't you forget I'm the Nalan family's old ancestor, and you're merely a brat. If you dare to make a move against me, my Nalan family is not to be trifled with. Let's see how you explain this to the entire continent. You make yourself sound so important. Fatty Chu scoffed. I'll just say that you were accidentally eaten by a soul-devouring beast when you were searching for information, or accidentally eaten by sea beasts when you were surrounded and attacked by sea beasts. Sima Yue said, Do you think those people will suspect me? Ancestor Nalan subconsciously took a step back and looked at Sima Yue calmly. Although I wanted to be the alliance leader, I didn't say anything when others wanted you. Why do you want to kill me? Could it be that it was just to silence the witnesses so that no one would know about this treasure? Yes and no. Sima Yue kindly explained to her. As the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Now that you know about it, of course I can't let you go out and publicize it, right? But he also came in. Ancestor Nalan pointed at Uni. Uni is my man. I trust him so I can bring him in. Sima Yue said, But you're different. You're my enemy. How can I let you go out alive? Sima Yue, I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. Ancestor Nalan scolded. Ruthless? Sima Yue wasn't angry. Instead, she laughed even more happily. No, if I'm not ruthless to my enemies, do I have to wait for them to bite me and stab me with a knife? Moreover, when your Nalan clan wanted to kill me, you should have thought of this. Ancestor Nalan's heart sank. Looking at Sima Yue, she knew that she was doomed today. At that time, when the Nalan clan had tried to kill Sima Yue, she had heard her clansmen talk about it. However, at that time, Sima Yue didn't find trouble with them, so they thought that Sima Yue didn't know about it and thought that it was over. She didn't expect them to be so anxious. She looked around and didn't know how to leave this place. The longer she stayed, the more anxious she became. Now that you're here, don't even think about escaping. Little spirit, bring her to 1,000 resonance to play with. Sima Yue ordered. Little spirit appeared in the air. With a snap of his fingers, Ancestor Nalan disappeared. Not long after, screams could be heard. Sima Yue looked at Uni and said, Uni, you won't tell anyone, right? Uni smiled lazily and said, You already said that I'm yours. Naturally, I'll think for you. His words were a little frivolous, but Sima Yue knew that he wouldn't tell anyone. Since you're mine, you'll have to listen to me obediently. Otherwise, I won't want you anymore. She followed his words. Mo Sha, who was inside the devil snare bracelet, heard their conversation and unconsciously frowned. Her people. These words made him feel very uncomfortable. He had the urge to kill Uni. How would I dare not listen to Junior Valley Master if he wants me to listen? Uni looked at the house in the distance and said, That's the place you guys usually rest? I'll go find a room to rest too. After saying that, he really walked towards the house and very consciously chose a room as his own. I'll go take a look. Otherwise he'll take up all our rooms. Fatty Chu said as he followed. Bei Gong Tang came to Sima Yue's side and looked at the house, saying, Are you assured? He won't say. Sima Yue said, We've been rushing for so long. Let's all go and rest first. Okay. Everyone rested for a day. On the second day they gathered together to discuss the matter of the soul-gnawing beast. When she found out that 1 day outside was 10 days inside, Uni was extremely shocked. It was no wonder that after not seeing them for half a year, each of their strengths had increased so much. It turned out that they had this divine cheating tool. Thus, she decided that she would follow the Junior Valley Master in the future and use this divine cheating tool to increase her cultivation and array skills. Because she didn't know how powerful the soul-gnawing beast was, Sima Yue decided to let them all wait in the spirit pagoda. She would go out with Uni and Chongming 1000 Resonance first. If there was anything she needed, she would call them. Everyone knew that with their strength, they wouldn't be of much use if they went out. Thus they agreed to wait here. Sima Yue and Uni went out. They had stayed inside for more than a day and had only been outside for 2 hours. Let's go. Let's go and see what this island has become. She followed the memories of the scarlet bees and brought everyone to the depths of the island. In order to avoid being attacked by the soul-gnawing beast, they chose to walk. After walking a few kilometers into the island, they saw the dark scene that the scarlet bees saw. All the plants were dead. They didn't wither, but they were all charred black. It was as if their life force had been sucked out and smeared with black ink. The whole place is like this. Sima Yue looked around. Other than the forest on the outside, everything else on the island had become like this. Uni squatted down and took out a silk handkerchief. She grabbed a blade of grass and touched it lightly. That blade of grass turned into black powder and scattered in the air. Perhaps the black powder had pressed onto the other plants and caused a butterfly effect. All the black plants on the island had turned into black powder and formed a thick layer on the ground. Chapter 396. The entire island was covered in a thick layer of black powder. From afar it looked like a black purgatory. Even Uni and Chongming, who had seen a lot in the primordial lands, were shocked. This scene was really too bizarre. Sima Yue took out a wild animal from her spirit pagoda and threw it into the distance. Puchi, the pheasant, fell directly into the black powder. It fluttered twice in the powder, and all the feathers on its body were corroded, followed by its meat and bones. Soon, the fat pheasant completely disappeared. This black powder is so powerful. Uni remembered that she had touched the black grass and felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had used a silk handkerchief. If he had used his hand directly, he was afraid that his hand would have been crippled. Sima Yue did not expect the black powder to be so powerful. She frowned and said, "There's so much black powder. It seems like we can only fly over." "Yes, fly close to the ground," Chongming said. They continued to fly towards the depths of the island. The deeper they went, the more shocked they became because the black area they saw was just too big. How did these plants become this corrosive black powder? 1000 Resonance couldn't help but ask as he looked at the vast expanse of darkness below. Chongming and Uni both shook their heads, indicating that they did not know. They had never seen these things before and did not know what was going on. "Yue, don't worry. No matter what happens, I will protect you. After all, I am your woman," Uni said with a smile. Sima Yue felt the devil snare bracelet move, but before she could ask, Mo Sha came out. Uni was shocked when she saw a shadow suddenly appear. Then she realized that the shadow came from Sima Yue, so it shouldn't be an enemy. "Mo Sha, why did you come out?" Sima Yue asked curiously. This fellow almost never appeared in front of everyone. Even though he had been with Wei Ziqi and the rest for so many years, they did not know of his existence. Why did he come out today? "These things." Mo Sha looked at the thick layer of black powder and said, which could be considered as answering her question. However, he glanced at Uni, causing the latter to have goosebumps. She muttered to herself, "Why do I feel like the Grim Reaper is staring at me?" Sima Yue did not notice the subtle relationship between the two of them. Hearing what he said, she asked excitedly, "Do you know how it was formed?" Mo Sha retracted his gaze and nodded, saying, "A powerful fellow came this time." "Soul-devouring beast?" "No." Mo Sha said, "The soul-devouring beast should be a magical beast that he raised." "You're saying that other than the soul-devouring beast, there are other people on this island?" Sima Yue asked. "That's right. To be able to come here from that place, this person's strength is not low." Mo Sha said, "Furthermore, you guys aren't familiar with the Devil Realm's methods, so you might not necessarily win against him. The opponent still has a sacred beast." Sima Yue was speechless. The opponent was so strong, what were they going to do? "If you guys can subdue that soul-devouring beast, I'll deal with that person," Mo Sha said. "All right." Mo Sha looked at Uni again, saying, they can restrain that person for a period of time. You guys have to take care of the soul-devouring beast during this time. We can only restrain him for a period of time? Yuni's usual lazy smile froze as she looked at Mo Sha in disbelief. If it weren't for the restrictions here, even 3,000 of you wouldn't be able to restrain him. Mo Sha said mercilessly. Yuni's smile cracked. This was too much of a blow. That person is that powerful? Sima Yue widened her eyes. If I didn't guess wrongly, this person has already reached the Devil General rank. His strength is even stronger than your God rank. Don't you think he's powerful? Mo Sha said. Although Sima Yue did not understand the rankings of the Devil Realm, if he was stronger than a God rank, this was indeed not something Yuni and the rest could contend against. I'll go back first. If you guys can't take care of that soul-devouring beast, I won't come out again. Mo Sha returned to the Devil's Snare ring after he finished speaking. Yue, who is this person? Yuni waited for Mo Sha to disappear before opening her mouth to ask. The soul of a Devil General from the Devil Realm. Sima Yue said, it's a coincidence that I'm bound to him now. Yuni understood what Sima Yue meant. She lived, he would speak. She died, he would die. Therefore he would definitely do his best to help them. But the three of us are going to restrain that Devil General. Can you deal with that soul-devouring beast alone? Yuni was worried about her and asked worriedly. Don't worry, I can do it. Sima Yue said. The four of them flew forward for a while and quickly arrived at the center of the island. It's here. Sima Yue looked at the quiet surroundings. There was no black fog that the Scarlet Bee saw. Are you guys looking for me? A sharp voice came from all directions. Then a black fog slowly rose from the ground. A figure suddenly appeared on the small hill in front of them. That figure was sitting there steadily as if it had always been there. Gaga dash, the voice came from behind them. They turned around and saw the rolling black fog that the Scarlet Bee saw. Two sacred beasts. I like it. It's been a long time since I've drunk fresh blood. The black fog laughed weirdly. You're that soul-devouring beast? Sima Yue said with certainty. That's right. The black fog rolled and slowly condensed. It formed a completely black demon beast with a pair of slender legs and 6 skinny arms. It also had a ghost-like head. Its blood-red eyes were the same as the eyes that Sima Yue saw through the Scarlet Bees. A soul-devouring beast looks like this? Sima Yue looked at the soul-devouring beast in disgust. The black liquid that dripped from its body was too disgusting. She did not want to look at the soul-devouring beast anymore. She turned around and faced the Demon General. Although the Demon General looked a little weird, at least he looked like a human. Also, he did not drip that sticky black liquid. He was still acceptable. You have guts. The Demon General opened his mouth and looked straight at Sima Yue. There were many people in the demon realm who were afraid of him. However, she dared to look straight at him. She was really bold. Thank you for the compliment. Sima Yue looked calm on the surface. However, she was very nervous. His aura was stronger than Old Man Devil's. Also, because he was from the demon race, he naturally had an aura that made people afraid. A gust of wind blew from Sima Yue to the Demon General. He closed his eyes and sniffed lightly. His face was intoxicated as he looked at her excitedly. Your body smells so good. It must be delicious to eat. Hee, I didn't expect to meet such a rare food. Hee, give me your body. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.